Net, Ryan, whatever it takes.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspires.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program? Yeah.
97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
Now, live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Hump Day Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Glad to have you guys on board the show today. We got a busy show ahead of us today. Phillies keep finding ways to win. We'll get into the state of the Phils. They got another game coming up at 4 o'clock today, the final game with the Cardinals. Plus, along with that game, you have the Eagles continue mini camp. We're learning some interesting notes and nuggets about this Eagles team as we go along. So we'll get into all that and more coming up today. A busy show here on the Sports Bash. Again, Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. So here's the lineup we got coming up. I'm going to work our way backwards here because coming up at 5 o'clock, stay tuned for it because I'm going to have Dave Klemic join me, former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver, Mainland Regional High School graduate. We're going to get his perspective as a player. What is the real difference between mini camp and training camp? Like, what is the value of mini camp compared to training camp? Because, I was asking the question yesterday, and I'm going to ask the question again today, on 973 ESPN to different people. And the question being, when we see what's going on at minicamp, right? Yesterday, James Bradbury got reps at safety, right? How much of what we're seeing is going to actually be genuinely reflected by the time we start the regular season? Because today, for example, is the second straight day, for example, at linebacker. Zach Vaughn and Devin White are both getting reps as the starting linebacker tandem. It's also the second straight day that Nakobe Dean is the primary single linebacker in different defensive formations. So just to draw it out for you guys, what they're doing in minicamp for 2 straight days is when they have 2 linebackers on the field for the first team, it's been Zach Vaughn and Devin White. 2 players who weren't even on the team last year. Nakobe Dean has been the second team linebacker and the primary linebacker when they go to a 1 linebacker, 4 cornerback, 2 safety alignment, according to different reports at minicamp. So do we read into that Nakobe Dean is the third linebacker on this team, that he's the primary linebacker in 1 backer setup? What do we read into that? How do we read into that? This is a conversation we're going to have throughout the day because I think that what we're seeing in minicamp right now is very, very fascinating. I'm trying to read too much into it because it's more conversation than it is. Like, I'm not going to literally take it on because we're still basically a month and a half, 2 months away from training camp. So we're going to get into it with Dave Klemic about, what goes into minicamp versus training camp and his perspective on an NFL player's perspective on the offseason. Also, football report coming up. Geoff Mosher will do a full breakdown of day 2 of Eagles minicamp with Geoff at Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Who's listening to me on game night each week here on 97.3 ESPN. Wednesdays for Weinberg Wednesdays, 97.3 ESPN. Sports columnist and longtime Eagles beat writer Dave Weinberg will join us coming up at 3:30 today. We'll get Dave's perspective on the Birds as well, as he was covering the team on a daily basis the last time they had mandatory minicamp. Remember, this is the first mandatory minicamp for the Eagles since 2019. So we got a lot of Eagles to get to throughout the show. I will let everybody know we usually have Mike McGarry on at 2:25, 2:30 each Wednesday on the Sports Bash. Mike has 2 press conferences to go to this afternoon, so he will not be able to make it today before the Phillies game starts. So he has agreed to join us tomorrow here on 97.3 ESPN. So we got all that on tap here on 97.3 ESPN. So no McGarry today, but we got also Nick's Nuggets coming up at 4:30. A jam-packed show for you guys here on 97.3 ESPN. Before we dig deeper into the Eagles talk, and your guys text at 609-403-0973 and your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Before all the Eagles, there's a ton of Eagles I want to get to today, especially about what alignment, what players are actually getting action on defense. You gotta go with the Phillies game last. We saw a team in the Phillies again find a way to win. And I am not going to downplay, ignore, or dismiss the fact that this Phillies team, when you find ways to win, it says a lot about who you are as an organization. And last night was another walk-off win for the much maligned Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos again comes through in a game and wins. And I can't get over the fact that not just the Phillies have won 22 out of their last 25 games at home, but this team has now reached a level where you're almost expecting them to win. You're almost expecting them to find a way to win. And it's been a while since we have felt that way this year. And the Phillies now have 4 walk-off wins at home this year, and 2 of them have been orchestrated by Nick Castellanos. So I have so many questions from last night's game, and you guys can let me know how you feel about the Phillies. But my initial question is being patient with Nick Castellanos starting to pay off? You can't be the worst player on a team and have 2 walk-off hits for a win. You just can't. And I understand, and I am just as much as anyone been complaining and crying and whining and really annoyed with Castellanos' start to this year and his performance at the plate. I mean, some of his swings this year at the plate have been absolutely disgraceful. Just absolutely disgusting. And I have been complaining about, why does this guy get no days off? Why is everyone getting a day off but Nick Castellanos? What makes him so, I don't know what you want to, special, important, valuable, whatever you want to call it. But the reality is, for as much consternation as we have had about Nick Castellanos, as much of the frustrations that we all have expressed about Castellanos over the last several weeks. The reality is that Nick Castellanos, over the last 30 days, he has played way better than he did the first chunk of the year. Now, I'm not saying he's playing great and we should all be like, yeah, go Nick Castellanos. But are we seeing signs that he is coming around? He has 10 RBI in the last 20 games. So he's getting an RBI every other game right now. In the last 20 games, he has 18 hits. So he is averaging almost one base hit per game. Since May 14th, Nick Castellanos has a slugging percentage of .403. Not great, but certainly better than what he was doing. Because again, I was looking at these stats earlier today. You go back to the month of April, Castellanos was an absolute embarrassment of a baseball player. In the month of April, he had 7 RBI. In the last 20 games, he has 10 RBI. In the month of April, he had a 183 batting average, a 260 slug in the month of April. I mean, just completely unacceptable numbers for any player who's starting every day in Major League Baseball. Since May 1st, .417 slugging percentage. His slug is going up almost 200 points. As I said, 10 RBI in the last 20 games. He's hit 5 home runs in the last 31 games. Now, the 27 strikeouts in the last 31, not great. I get it. But for a guy who is hitting so horribly in April, he is averaging almost a hit per game right now. So I asked the question, is Nick Castellanos finally turning the corner? You know, Charlie Manuel always used to be hitting season for Charlie, right? Charlie Manuel would have hitting season. Every time you get to June and July, when the weather heats up, the bats heat up. So I'm wondering, when you look at the Phillies, are we starting to soften a little bit on the Castellanos concerns? You guys let me know at 609-403-0973. I don't know if it's acceptable or not, but I'm at least starting to look at Castellanos a little differently right now. Okay? That's the first question from last night I have. The second question I have from last night is, when you look at the Phillies and the way they found the way to win the game last night, right? As I am describing it, because these are now 2 straight close games that they have won. 3-1 on Monday, 2-1 on Tuesday. They have now had multiple games in recent days where you can qualify them as close games. Even the Cardinals game they lost on Sunday was a 5-4 loss. They haven't had a lot of lopsided games outside of basically 2 in recent weeks. So the Phillies may be coming back down to earth. You know, they were on that incredible hot streak in the month of May. As we move forward, do we evaluate the Phillies' needs at the deadline? Does that evolve? Now, for me, I still think they need one more right-handed outfielder, and I would go out and get one more bullpen arm just to have another arm out there, right? I don't think the bullpen is bad. I think the bullpen has done more than a good enough job. But I still get nervous when Soto comes into the game. I still get nervous when I see Anthony Dominguez come into a game. I'm not in necessarily love with anyone in that bullpen when they come into the game. I'm confident in Strom and Hoffman. I'm confident in Alvarado. I have faith that Kirkering can do the job, but I'm not, this is not like 2008 when you had the bridge to Lidge, right? With guys like Ryan Madsen and GC Romero, and later they acquired guys like Scott Air. That team had so many dudes out there. And I think this team is starting to develop some dudes, but I think you could use one more dude out there, one more stud, one more reliable weapon out of the bullpen. And as I said, you still need one more outfielder. So you guys let me know how you feel. This team is finding ways to win. Is Castellanos part of the fabric of this team? Where you can't treat sports like you do a video game. I call it video game culture, because if you are basically 45 or 48 or younger, right? If you're 48 years old or younger, we have all grown up in a world where playing sports video games has impacted how we view the game, for better or for worse. And so I think some people look at sports and don't factor in how the locker room, the culture, the environment impacts everything. I asked the question on Monday here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Hump Day Wednesday. I asked the question on Monday, how does Brandon Marsh's absence impact this team? I'm assuming we'll continue to see him with team at home games. But does he travel with them to London? Does he travel with them to Boston and then Baltimore before they come back to Philadelphia? He's a huge part of that locker room. His impact on this team is much greater than just his play on the field. It's who he is in the locker room. So have we undervalued that Castellanos is part of the fabric of this team, of this organization? You guys let me know. 609-403 0973, your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And by the way, before I get the text, I did want to say one more thing. I think that we also saw last night, arguably, the worst move that Rob Thompson has ever made as manager of the Phillies. I don't think there is a move that is as bad as when they pulled Dave Dahl last night and they substituted him with Christian Pache. First of all, it felt so reactionary. It felt so unnecessary. I had multiple people texting me last night asking me, what are the Phillies doing? This is dumb. I don't get it. I had one guy I knew at the game texting me, be like, why are they pinch hitting for Dahl? I had another person text me yesterday, this is the dumbest move I've ever seen the Phillies in my entire life. Everyone agreed that it was a bad move last night. And I'm not going to get up here and say that Rob Thompson's a bad manager or any of that hyperbole. But I will say that I hope he learns from what you saw last night. I hope Rob Thompson and the Phillies organization learn from what you saw last night, because last night was a horrible example of an organization that went out there and did not need to make that move. Christian Pache didn't just go 0 for 2 last night. He looked 0 for nothing. He looked useless. He looked like he wanted to be anywhere else but in the batter's box last night. Dave Dahl has done an incredible job for the Phillies since he got here. There was no reason, no rationale, no logic for telling Dave Dahl on June 4th, hey man, we're going to pitch hit for you. The man literally is 3 for 5 as a hitter right now. I don't care if the pitcher is left-handed. I don't care who the left-handed pitcher. I don't care if it's, Jesse Orozco coming out of the bullpen back in the day. I don't care if it's Randy Johnson coming in the 7th inning out of the bullpen in the postseason. I got a guy who is 3 for 5 as a hitter. In a regular season game, he should be hitting. That was the ultimate overthinking by Rob Thompson and the Phillies last night. And also, if you're going to pinch hit anyone, why'd you pick Pache? Now, it worked out a little bit later in the game that Whit Merrifield came in as the pinch runner in the 10th inning, and he scored, he scored the game-winning run last night. But there could have been Pache. You could have hit Merrifield in that situation. You're telling me that Pache was a better option than a guy who's, a 2-3-time All-Star? And you just called up Weston Wilson. Weston Wilson has a long history of hitting left-handed pitching. Why not go to Weston Wilson and say, hey, man, you're going to go play left field. You're going to go pitch hit. Like, are we that worried about Weston Wilson now in the outfield? Now, I get it. He's not a natural outfielder, so maybe that's why you go with Pache there. But again, you could have gone with Merrifield. Whit Merrifield has played plenty of games in left field. So I thought that was the ultimate overthinking last night. Again, I'm not going to sit here and trash Rob Thompson and act like he's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's doing. But I'm going to say it's the worst move he's ever made. And as long as he learns from it, I'll be okay. If they don't learn from it, then I'm going to rip him. But for right here, right now, I am going to choose to look at this as a mistake. But it's still a horrible mistake. And it was a bad enough mistake that everyone I personally knew looked at it as a mistake. All right, get your text right now, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Tom from Margate chimes in on the text board. He says, hey, Josh. He says the Phillies versus the Mets in London. I love the way the Phillies are playing right now. I can't wait for this weekend series, but I like some fine wine. They may not travel well, so go Phillies. Nick Castellanos is coming around. That is with also a emoji thumbs up, 2 thumbs up from Tom and Margate on the text board. Tom, I think it's interesting because you mentioned about how, they're coming around, how Castellanos is getting better, like almost like an aging wine, right? And it is a long baseball season. And I do think at times in the nature of us as sports fans, we tend to react and overreact sometimes. Look, I don't care who you are. If you are a passionate Phillies sports fan, we've all had something in our hand and wanted to throw it while watching a Phillies game over the years. Okay. But you're right. You do have to love the way they're playing. You do have to like the way they're coming around, that Castellanos is finally playing better. And I think that if your goal is to win series, right? If the ultimate goal is to go into every 3-game series and win 2 out of 3, then you're accomplishing the goal. And I don't think there's too much to complain about on that front. But you're right. Castellanos coming around. Now, does it mean that he should be starting every single day? Probably not. Steve from Ventnor chimes in at 609-403-0973. Steve says, I would trade Taijuan Walker to the Orioles for Austin Hayes. Who says no? Well, first of all, the Walker thing is complicated because, and we'll get into this a little bit more later, the guy is making a huge chunk of money. And unless you are going to tell the team that you're trading him to, we're going to eat some of that money, I don't think it's logical. I mean, I'm going to double check right now, but I think he has 2 more years after this year left on the deal. 2 more years. So are you really going to tell a team like the Orioles, take this guy for $18 million a year for the next 2 years? The Orioles are going to say, how much are you going to pay of that? And in terms of Austin Hayes, I like the idea of Austin Hayes because he's a right-handed outfield bat who is solid. He's not great, but he's solid. But the Orioles are in a playoff hunt. What reason do they have to trade Austin Hayes? Now, if you're telling me the Orioles traded you a minor league prospect or two for Taijuan Walker, I could totally see that happening. But Hayes is having, I don't know success, but I think he's having the worst year of his career since like his rookie year, basically. So, I mean, I don't know if the Orioles are in a weird situation because they do need pitching depth in the starting rotation, but so do the Phillies. Look, whether we like it or not, Walker is performing a service. He eats up innings. He's a solid pitcher. Do I love the fact that when he goes on the mound that he's that frustrating? Of course I don't like it. But look at his starts. For as much as we may be frustrated with Taijuan Walker, the reality is that the Philadelphia Phillies are winning games with him on the mound. The Phillies won his first 3 starts. And the 2 starts that they lost with him on the mound was a 1-run game. So if the offense does a better job against the Mets and the Cardinals, 2 teams that are below 500 right now, maybe they have more wins. So, yeah, is Walker frustrating? Yes. Does he give up runs in bunches at times? Yes. Do I hate paying him $18 million a year? Yes. But I don't know if anybody wants to take up that contract. I don't know if anybody's willing to take on that money. I think that if you were to tell me that the Orioles would legitimately take that deal, of course I would say yes. I just don't see the Orioles taking that deal. All right. Dan from EHT. We got also other texts coming. It's Todd from Northfield. You get your guys' text coming up on the other side. Josh, Hennig hanging out with you. You and me for the next hour before we get to our guests coming up. No Mike McGarry today. He is at the LPGA press conferences and media days. He will be back tomorrow at this time here on 97.3. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on a hump day Wednesday. Phillies, how do we feel about them after they found another way to win? Nick Castellanos has 2 of the Phillies' 4 walk-off wins this year. Are we starting to come around on Castellanos? Or are we starting to look at him as still a problem? All that and more. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on the Sports Bash, filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM and over the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Looking for an incredible deal on gig speed internet? Now through June 24th, get the lowest price ever for Xfinity gig speed internet with unlimited data included. Bring on the good stuff. Switch at Xfinity.com today. Restrictions apply. Gig Wi-Fi requires Xfinity gateway. Actual speeds vary.
That's the sound of steak searing in its juices on your new pellet grill. You heard that right. The Weber Searwood Pellet Grill can smoke low and slow at 180 degrees all the way to a high heat sear at 600. With the Weber Searwood, you can cook on the direct flame over the full grate sear zone. You'll hear the gasp of amazement from friends and family when you serve the food. Cooking with the Weber Searwood Pellet Grill just sounds delicious and tastes even better.
Now your ideas don't have to wait. Now they have everything they need to come to life. Dell Technologies and Intel are creating technology that loves ideas, loves expanding your business, evolving your passions. We push what technology can do, so great ideas can happen right now. Find out how to bring your ideas to life at Dell.com. Welcome to Now.
Go for the pulse and the pools. Go for the hot streak and the hot tubs. Go for a relaxing massage and for wild nights with your entourage. Go to play all day and to dance all night. Go for the rooms with the ocean views that go on forever. Go for paradise with a pair of dice. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Must be 21 or older. Party responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-761-0000. 800-761-0000.
Is switching your wireless service to Total by Verizon easy? Now you can get 50% off any unlimited data phone plan. That's one line for only $25 a month, and you keep the phone you love. Hurry, this is a limited time offer. So find a store or switch suavemente at totalbyverizon.com. Offer ends July 31st, 2024. Promo subject to cancellation after 12 months. Available exclusively online and in Total by Verizon stores. Requires a compatible unlocked device and SIM. See totalbyverizon.com for device compatibility and additional details. Taxes and fees may apply.
You met with the stable boy despite your father's orders. He hoisted you onto the saddle and you wrapped your arms around him, embracing his silent strength. He lay you down amongst the wildflowers. You experienced love like never before. While you were buying dish soap. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover heart-stopping romance titles on Audible.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflush.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
7 drive modes and available intelligent 4-wheel drive, plus up to 6,000 pounds of towing capacity equals a fun way of getting to some of the most exciting adventures life has to offer. That's what the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder gives you. Make your journey to some of the world's most epic destinations fun and exciting. The 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. Chase adventures and enjoy the ride along the way. Intelligent 4-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions. Towing capacity varies by configuration. See Nissan Towing Guide and Owner's Manual for additional information. Always secure cargo.
New Jersey is leading the nation in clean energy investments with one thing in mind. You, New Jersey's clean energy program, can help you save on appliances, solar power, and so much more. Visit njcleanenergy.com today to see what New Jersey's clean energy program can do for you.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free.
Sports Bash on 973 ESPN FM and 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. Seattle again. No Mike McGarry today. He will be joining us tomorrow as he's at the LPGA Classic press conferences today. Still Dave Weinberg still to come. Talk about the Eagles and Phillies with him at 3:30. Football forward Geoff Mosher, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Nick's Nuggets are here. We'll see what Nick Earnshaw has in the Nuggets for me today. And then Dave Klemic, former NFL wide receiver and Mainland Regional High School graduate, will give his perspective on minicamp versus training camp and what it means for the Eagles. Back to the text board here at 609-403-0973. Your DMs, 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how we opened the show. We touched on the Eagles a little bit, but we got to the break talking about the Phillies. And look, it's the time of year that we got to ask the question, how long do we wait and be patient with the team as currently constructed? Do we keep waiting on Castellanos? He has 2 of the team's 4 walk-off hits this year. Or do we just say, we're done with him, get rid of him? 609-403-0973, your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how Dan from EHT chimes in and says the Phillies should trade for and bring back Matt Vierling. Matt Vierling is a fascinating case because Matt Vierling was actually a good player for you. Matt Vierling was a guy who had a role for this team in 2022. And I don't want to say he was clutch, but he was a good player. He was a guy that made a lot of sense for you back in 2022. And you go back to his positional versatility, the fact he's a right-handed bat. He was always a guy that I personally looked at, and I never liked the idea of them letting him go. Now, look, I also understand that in the playoffs, he was a very inconsistent player in 2022. He wasn't a guy that you could rely on day in and day out. But at the same time, you're not bringing him back here to be a guy to play day in and day out. You're asking him to be a role player on this team. And in Detroit, he has kind of found himself. He has developed into a reliable hitter, a guy who is still positionally versatile, right? You know, in Philadelphia, people forget this guy played almost every position on the diamond, and he's done the same thing with the Tigers. He's played right field, left field, third base, second base. He played first base for the Phillies back in the day. He played center field, right? So, you know, you look at Vierling, he makes a lot of sense, Dan EHD. I actually like the idea. And like I said, I never liked them trading him. You know, I understood wanting to get Gregory Soto at the time. I understood that. And I liked, and it has paid off them getting Cody Clemens. Clemens has turned out to be a solid, good player for them. One huge problem with the Tigers, though, is the Tigers are in the wild card hunt. And whenever you have a team in the wild card hunt, they are reluctant to trade players they find valuable. Right now, the Tigers are 2.5 games out of the third wild card spot. They are 31-30. The team right behind them is the Boston Red Sox at 30-31, and so the Tampa Bay Rays 30-31. Rangers 2 games behind them at 29-32, and a team ahead of them in the standings are the Minnesota Twins. So the Tigers are in the thick of a chance to make the postseason. Unless you're offering Detroit a prospect that they can maybe call up to the big leagues in a year or two, I don't see a scenario where they're not going to be looking to trade Matt Vierling, is basically. I love the idea, though, Dan EHT. He makes a lot of sense. He's having a solid year. Again, positional versatility. He is exactly what this team needs. And he has been everything that you hoped Merrifield could be, and Merrifield has been unable to be. Now, if you can convince the Tigers to take Merrifield, right? If you can convince the Tigers to take Merrifield and a prospect to be like, look, maybe he'll be better for you than he is for us. And you give them a prospect that you know that you're not going to be calling up anytime soon because maybe he's blocked positionally or something, then okay, I can see that deal working, Dan Nish. I don't think it's the worst idea. I think it's a solid idea. Don't love it, though. I think that when you think about what the Phillies need, it's one thing, but you also have to factor in what other teams are and are not willing to do as well. Which brings us to our next text. Todd from Northfield chimes in at 609-403-0973, and he thinks, now, I wish Todd from Northfield would have given me a more explanation for this, but he says that the Phillies should go get Jose Luzardo from the Marlins. And my answer is why? First of all, he's left-handed. You already have 2 left-handed starters. You got, Alvarado, Strom, Soto in the bullpen. You got 3 lefties in the bullpen. Why do we need another left-handed pitcher? That's the first question I would have for Todd in Northfield. Second question would be, do I really want a guy who's got a 5.30 ERA this year? I understand he had a good year last year and he had a solid year the year before, but is he still that pitcher? One of the stats that, Mike Gill always goes to whip, right? And Luzardo has a mediocre whip at best this year at 1.25, and he had a 1.21 last year whip. So he has consistently shown you he doesn't have a great number when it comes to that. One of the stats I like to look at as well is strikeouts to innings. This year, Luzardo has fewer strikeouts than innings. Last year, he had more. So typically when a pitcher has fewer strikeouts to innings pitched, from my observation, it's either because other teams have started to figure them out or they are not pitching at the same efficiency as they used to. So I don't see the value in Luzardo. I think that he is a guy that, first of all, we don't need a left-handed pitcher. And second of all, if you are the Phillies, the only way he fits into your plans is if you go to Steve from Bender's idea, which is trading Taijuan Walker to the Orioles. If you were to trade Walker to the Orioles and then get Luzardo for the Marlins, then he has a spot on the team. But at the end of the day, I think most people would say, give me Turnbull over Walker and Luzardo. Because Turnbull has pitched better than both guys this year. So I think that, and I don't want to put words in Todd from Northfield's mouth, but Todd, I think that you're remembering who Luzardo was in the past and not who he is now. And I think that is a layer of the conversation that cannot be overlooked. Anonymous texter chiming in at 609-403-0973 says the clubhouse culture means a ton. Did you see the last out of the Mets Nationals game last night? Bader and Marte almost collided, and Marte was visibly angry after winning the game. The clubhouse is a mess with the New York Mets, and I love it. Or did he mean the Nationals? Well, I mean, look, the Mets and Nationals are both kind of messy teams right now, right? Which is hilarious because, the Nats and Mets are both barely in the wild card race. So it's ironic that last night's game with 2 teams under 500 are mathematically still in it. So, yeah, look, the Mets, I get it. For you Philly fans out there, you love seeing the Mets struggle. And I get it. And I'm totally with you on that. I've told the story before. I don't hate the Mets team as much as I've had bad experiences with Met fans. Frankly, Met fans outside of Geoff the Mets fan, who's from Ocean City, not Geoff from Ocean City. It's another Geoff from Ocean City. Too many people named Geoff, but I guess I guess the names like Geoff are popular listening to sports talk radio. But outside of a couple people, I've had some pretty negative experiences with Met fans. So I've had most fan bases I have interacted with have usually been, reasonable people, right? They have not been jerks. But man, of all the fan bases, Met fans tend to be some of the most annoying. I gotta be honest. So I got more frustration with Met fans than I do in general with the Mets as a team. That being said, the texter is right. The Mets are an example of a team that can't get out of its own way. They are an example of a team that does not know what they are doing. And you're right. The locker room culture does matter. And that's my concern with the Castellanos question. You know, when you look at Castellanos, when you look at whoever you might bring in, is the guy you're bringing in going to benefit the culture? Now, Dan from EHC brought up Matt Vierling. I think Matt Vierling would be a positive for this team's culture. Steve from Ventnor brought up Austin Hayes of the Orioles. I think he's another guy who will be positive for the culture. So I don't think that either one of those guys would necessarily upset the apple cart. But I do think you have to be concerned that whoever you bring in knows that they are coming in a part-time role. They are not the primary player on this team. They are not the primary guy for this team. And so you bring in Vierling, you bring in Hayes, you bring in Randy Arozarena, who's having a rough year for the Tampa Bay Rays. Luis Roberts Jr. hit a home run last night for the White Sox. You bring in any of these guys, you're not bringing them in with the understanding that they are going to be Nick Castellanos and play every day, that Brandon Marsh has to get playing time as well. And so if you put Marsh, Rojas, and whoever the other the left fielder is going to be, and you say, guys, you're all going to get playing time, but just know you're not in the lineup every day. I think that's how it can work, because I think, at least my perspective is that Vierling and Hayes are two guys who understand that they would be brought in to be role players. I don't know if Randy Arozarena and Luis Robert Jr. would be as willing to accept that role, because if you bring them in, I think those guys are players who have a history of being starters. They have experience getting, day in and day out playing time for the most part. Now, Luis Roberts' problem has been injuries. Okay. Outside of 1 year, he has never been really consistently healthy as a hitter. So again, outside of last year, the year he was amazing, he's never played more than 100 games in a season. So injured this year, injured a couple of years ago, injured in 2021. If you bring him in, does he understand that, yeah, you were an all-star last year, but now you're a part of this team this year? And then Randy Arozarena is a fascinating case study in what Mike Gill described yesterday here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in on 97.3 ESPN. Mike Gill brought up the point yesterday of, are some of these guys older than we think because they're Cuban and maybe their visa information might be a little, hey, now we don't know what's really going on here, because Randy Arozarena is listed as 29 years old. We don't know the extent of his injury history. He may be older. We don't know why he is having such a bad year this year. Now, I brought up yesterday that maybe Randy Arozarena, man, this is going to be hard for me to say. Maybe the Phillies need to acquire him so I can get better at saying his name. But Randy Arozarena, maybe he does need a change of scenery. Maybe he is someone who we have seen other guys come to Philadelphia and become better hitters. Brandon Marsh being one of them. Remember, he was a borderline unplayable daily player as a hitter with the Angels, and he became a better hitter in Philadelphia. We have seen the evolution of Edmundo Sosa as a consistent, valuable hitter in the Phillies lineup. We have seen the growth of guys like Alec Boehm and Bryson Stott over the last couple of years. We know that the Phillies hitting coaches, Kevin Long and others, have had a positive impact. So could he do the same for Randy Arozarena? That is the question. Arozarena does have 8 home runs this year. So it's not like he doesn't still have the pop in his bat, but the 166 batting average is definitely the negative. And if you could convince him and the Rays to, make that deal, I think that I would certainly do it. But again, whoever you bring in here, the locker room matters. And you don't want a guy coming in here who's going to be disgruntled because he's not getting as much playing time as he wants. All right, Josh Hennig here, filling in for Mike Gill, 973 ESPN FM, 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. We'll wrap up the hour coming up on the other side with more of your text still to come here on a Hump Day Wednesday, 973 ESPN.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
My mom was so tired all the time. And anytime I told her a problem, she always had one solution. She'd be like, you should take a nap. Both my wrists could be cut, and I could be holding a knife. And I could be like, I don't want to be here! And she'd be like, have you slept?
From Saturday Night Live, his Netflix specials, and Peacock's Bupkis, Pete Davidson Prehab Tour. Saturday, July 20th, Ovation Hall and Ocean Casino Resort. Tickets on sale now at theoceanac.com. Pete Davidson Prehab Tour, live.
Progressive presents Flo and JB announcing a monster truck rally.
And here comes the Obliterator. Whoa, and he's up on two wheels. That can't be safe. Oh, I don't recommend flipping your car backwards. Did he even check his blind spot? And the car's on fire. I definitely don't recommend that. This is one of my recurring nightmares.
Progressive is all about keeping it safe, so bundle your home and auto for 24/7 protection. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Coverage not provided for monster trucks. Not available in all states.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, this is Quentin.
And this is Brianna.
A little thing we love about Chick-fil-A chicken strips are how satisfying they are. The chicken strips are amazing. They're always filling, tender, and juicy. Definitely one of my favorite things on the menu.
My favorite thing is the last bite. The last bite is nice and juicy, and it's wrapped up in some crispy breading that keeps it nice and tasty. And being able to scoop up my Chick-fil-A sauce with it, it's just like the best part of the meal. It's an undefeated combo.
Order the chicken strips on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real customers paid for their testimonials.
3, 2, 1.
It's gotta be a Matte Black Kia.
It's the third month of Matte Black Kias 2 for $222. And this is the final month. 2 new Kias for $222. Brand new 2024 Kia Forte. Just $111 per month lease. With 0 security deposit. And just $39.95 due at signing. With a price like that, why not get 2 for $222? Have a job clearing $450 per week? We want to approve you today. With 0 down. And pay just 1.9% for 48 months on every clearly marked new Kia Sportage in stock. Or drive home 2 Kia Fortes for $222.
It's gotta be a Matte Black Kia.
With approved credit, 24 Sportage, $21.65 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to matteblackkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Through KNF, 24 months, $111 per month, 10,000 miles per year. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Matte Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, messy poops, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day.
Cody was sleeping a lot, wasn't playing.
She was very lethargic and not moving around.
Dry kibble just wasn't cutting it. That's why, after more than 45 years of experience of helping dogs make complete health turnarounds, veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend. It's a freeze-dried raw dog food made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. And once dog parents switch their pups to Nature's Blend, the results can be astounding.
She's got her energy back. She's running around like she did like 5 years ago.
Miraculously, she's just feeling all around better. She's like a new dog. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Get your dog started today and save up to 54% off Nature's Blend. Plus, receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. a personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, before we wrap up the 2 o'clock hour, I got to get the Cole from LBI. Because Cole from LBI is pulling the Philly fans aren't great card. Because Cole from LBI says Met fans might be annoying, but they aren't as obnoxious as Philly fans. I was 8 years old getting cursed out of Veterans Stadium in 2000. Well, Cole, I'll one-up you. Because in 1992, it was a hot September day. Terry Mulholland was pitching on the mound. Phillies ended up losing the game 6-3, and it was actually a close game at one point. I'm hoping the Phillies come back into the game. I'm sitting in the 600 level with my mom and my aunt, and a beer by a Mets fan gets poured on my head because the Met fan was tired of me cheering for the Phillies, and it started a fight in the upper level of the vet. So who's worse, the annoying Philly fan cursing at you or the Met fan dumping beer on my head?
Hey, Jen, I just stopped in to say hello, and oh my goodness, look how busy it is in here. How do you get all these customers?
Yeah, this month has been a record breaker for us. For a long time, we had decent business coming in from word of mouth, but we weren't growing. Lately, though, a lot of new folks have been finding us online, and that's made all the difference.
That's terrific, man. I wish I could figure out how to do that for my shop, but I have no idea where to start.
Just do what I did. It's not as hard as you think. Go to mylocalcustomers.com to see exactly how many searches there are for businesses like yours. If you see that there are a good number of clients searching in our area, you'll also get some suggestions for the best way to get their attention.
Do you think there are a lot of people searching for my business?
There's only one way to find out. Go to mylocalcustomers.com. It's quick, easy, and free.
Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free local customer analysis that will show you how many customers are searching online for your type of business. It's quick, easy, and free. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Come get inspired at the all-new Matt Blatt Infinity. It's larger than life, and Matt Blatt Infinity is offering larger than life opportunities with $15,000 off MSRP on the all-wheel drive QX80 8-passenger SUV, or buy one with 0 down and 0.9% financing for 63 months. You'll want to live in this lap of luxury. Plus, Matt Blatt Infinity wants your trade. Even if you're stuck in a loan or lease, Matt Blatt Infinity will get you released. Plus, with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy, you'll drive with peace of mind. Come experience affordable luxury at the all-new Matt Blatt Infinity. Take $15,000 off every clearly marked all-wheel drive QX80 sensory package, or put 0 down and 0.9% at Matt Blatt Infinity. On approved Tier 1 credit through IFS. Negative equity will be refinanced into the vehicle, plus tax tag and $589 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattinfinity.com for complete details. VIN R9326645. QX80 MSRP $92,355. $16,10 per thousand. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Offers not in combination. End 6/30/2024. It's on at Matt Blatt Infinity on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Imagine getting ahead of your irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C by treating it with Linzess. Then you could start proactively managing your constipation with belly pain and get ahead of your symptoms. Talk to your doctor about Linzess, linaclotide. Linzess is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually.
Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling.
Imagine, what could relief from IBS-C mean for you? Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Sponsored by Abbey and Ironwood Pharmaceuticals.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
We could try to explain what it feels like to get your work done on a John Deere. The way a Z-Track mower finishes in half the time you thought it would. Or how much easier it is to move mountains of soil with a 1 Series tractor. We could even go into detail about how it feels to tow up to 4,000 pounds behind a Gator XUV. But if you really want to know what it's like to run with us, you just have to get in the seat. Learn more at johndeere.com/get-in-the-seat or visit a dealer near you.
Hey, Mike Gill here. Upgrade your outdoor look for summer with my friends at Progressive Fence and Railing. Whether it's adorable fence, glass, or cable railing, new shed, stylish deck, beautiful awning, or serene gazebo, check out Progressive's Spring Special. 20% off materials and a 4-year warranty extension, plus finance options that fit your budget. Privacy protection perfection. Grab your free estimate today. Visit ProgressiveFenceandRail.com.
ProgressiveFenceandRail.com. South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort studio, here's Mike Gill.
.301 here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig, Tony from Mike Gill, Hump Day Wednesday on 97.3 ESPN. 3 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by Broad Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Broadlease is your trusted source for heating and plumbing services, along with installation for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadlease.net. I'll tell you something. From personal experience, there is nothing worse than having your air conditioning or your heat. No AC in the summer, no heat in the winter. It's no bueno. It's the worst. Let Broadlease help you out, whether it's preventative maintenance or fixing a problem right away. At Broadlease, 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadlease.net. All right. We spent the first hour of the show talking a lot about the Phillies. We'll continue the conversation about the Phillies throughout the day here on 97.3 ESPN. But I did want to flip it over to the Eagles because we're getting some very interesting information about the Eagles at training camp. And I think, at least for me, and I can't speak for everyone, I'm very fascinated by what is going on with the Eagles because we are seeing a lot of different alignments on the defensive side of the ball. We're seeing a lot of different variations, a lot of different scenarios, we'll call it, right? And I do think that it's going to be interesting when we get closer to the season because, I brought this up yesterday and I'll bring it up again today. I understand that what happens in minicamp may not be what literally happens in the regular season, but I'm seeing a lot. I repeat, a lot of interesting alignments, we'll call it. So, specifically on defense. So, yesterday, the reports from training camp were that you saw a lot of Zach Vaughn and Devin White playing the lead linebackers, but the Kobe Dean was getting action. Today, the Kobe Dean was not the primary dime linebacker. For those who don't know what that means, a dime linebacker means you have one linebacker on the field with 4 or 5 cornerbacks and 1 or 2 safeties in the secondary. But the idea being that you have basically 6 defensive backs of some sort and 1 linebacker. And yesterday, that guy was the Kobe Dean. Today, that guy is Zach Vaughn. And again, trying not to read too much into it, but it's starting to look like Vic Fangio is really taking a closer look at what these linebackers they have are, because let's be realistic. The Eagles linebacker situation was at best underwhelming, at worst horrible last year. Now, it wasn't as bad as like 2020 and 2021 when you had guys lining up out of position and getting burned by tight ends every week. But Zach Cunningham was a solid linebacker last year, but he was not great. He did a serviceable job and held down the fort. It was obvious that everyone else had problems. Kobe Dean couldn't stay healthy, right? You brought in Leonard, the linebacker from the Colts, and he looked gassed. He looked like he had nothing left in the tank. He looked absolutely useless at times. Nicholas Morrow was an incredible disappointment at times last year. He was a much better blitzing linebacker than he was at anything else. So this year, they bring in Zach Vaughn. They bring in Devin White. They had the Kobe Dean returning from injury. They bring in Orlin Burks, right? And so far, 2 straight days, your starting linebackers in meeting camp have been Vaughn and White. And now Vaughn is getting looks as the dime linebacker. And this is very fascinating to me because we all know that Vic Fangio is in charge of this defense, okay? Howie Roseman is basically just going to do whatever Fangio tells him because that's how they did things when Jim Schwartz was here. That's how Andy Reid did things when Jim Johnson was here. The old ball coach, defensive coordinator, gets what he wants. And I want to remind you what Vic Fangio said during his first press conference with the Philadelphia Eagles about Zach Vaughn. Take a listen.
We've got Vaughn here. He's played a little bit of inside linebacker in New Orleans. He really didn't play a whole lot of defense there, but he was inside some, more outside. We think he can play inside, and I have not seen anything so far that says otherwise.
So Fangio sees something that maybe the rest of us haven't seen. The Eagles are seeing something the rest of us have not seen. So I'm starting to wonder with Philadelphia, when it comes to this team, right? When it comes to who and what they are, I'm very curious to find out exactly what is going on with the linebackers, okay? Because again, Zach Vaughn and Devin White, they're getting the primary looks on this defense. If they're getting the primary assessment from Philadelphia, I'm curious what's going on. Are they not happy with the Kobe Dean? Are they trying to exhaust to find out exactly what Vaughn and White can do? I mean, Orlin Burks has got 0 first-team reps. Gives you an idea what they think of him already. So that's the first part of the defense I'm keeping an eye on. The second part is this is the second straight day that it is not Bradbury or Quinyon Mitchell getting the majority of the team reps, the first team reps at the corner slot out across from Darius Slay. Yesterday, Keely Ringo got a lot of action mano-a-mano with A.J. Brown. Now, we all know how that went. He had his moments, but he's still Keely Ringo, and the other guy is still A.J. Brown. But nonetheless, Keely Ringo is getting some playing time today, but he's not the first team corner across from Darius Slay. And it's not Quinyon Mitchell either. It's Isaiah Rodgers. So again, I return back to the question, how much of what we're seeing is these guys getting work at these positions, and how much of it is this organization sending us a message already? Because again, I go back to what Vic Fangio said. It was about a month ago when Vic talked to the media for the first time, right? And I'm looking at Rodgers, Ringo, and then Quinyon Mitchell is getting the reps at the outside cornerback position. Mitchell for 2 straight days getting reps at slot corner as well. Vic Fangio talked about guys needing to be versatile when he first spoke to the media a month ago.
Yeah, we have a system that is versatile, we like to think. It needs to be versatile because every week you're facing different strengths of an offense, different schemes. So what you play in one week 10, 15 times, you may not play it all the next week. So you have to have a versatile system for the offenses today in the NFL.
So again, what did the Eagles do? Yesterday, Maddox and Mitchell and DeJean all got reps in the slot. Then yesterday, you had Slay and Ringo. Today, it was Slay and Rodgers getting the primary 11 on 11 reps. Now, Mitchell has gotten some of the primary cornerback outside reps, but it has mostly been either Rodgers or Ringo. So how much is this Fangio saying, I need these guys to learn how to be versatile? And how much of this is, this might be what the defense looks like? Because again, when they put out the dime package that had only Zach Bond as the only linebacker, you had 4 corners on the field today. Slay, Keely Ringo, Avonte Maddox, and Quinyon Mitchell. Maddox and Mitchell were in the slots. It was Ringo and Slay on the outside. So again, we are seeing guys playing positions that are unnatural to them. And we've had plenty of people who cover the Eagles. I talked to Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media last night. Geoff Mosher from Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, will join us less than an hour from now. He has talked about it with Adam Kaplan on the Inside the Birds pod about how Maddox, they got to find an answer for this slot because Maddox has not been healthy, and they have had multiple years now where they have had to track down people to play the slot position because Maddox is not available. And when people signed, when the Eagles signed CJ Gardner-Johnson, they signed him with the idea that, hey, people assumed maybe this guy could be part of the slot options. Well, he hasn't played a single snap of slot in minicamp so far. It's been Quinyon Mitchell, Avonte Maddox, and Cooper DeJean. Now, we saw Avonte Maddox previously get reps at safety. But then today, Reed Blankenship gets an interception of Jalen Hurts playing safety. There is a possibility that we start the season and it's not Mitchell and it's not Bradbury at corner across from Slay. Now, again, it's June 5th. A lot can change in 2-3 months. But still, it is something to think about. And the Eagles giving me a ton to think about right now because I got to tell you, this defense has to be better than last year. And I was watching NFL Live on television, and they were talking about the changing of the coordinators. And Marcus Spears, who played in the NFL, he explained why he thinks the new coordinators are going to make a difference from the defense that looked like poo last year to a better defense this year.
Been around football long enough to know that it was more than just X's and O's with the Philadelphia Eagles last year for them to fall off a cliff like they did. So Nick Sirianni, to me as well, has a large responsibility to show that this team has re-identified who they are, how they are going to go about the season. But I think it gets a lot easier with Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, especially with Vic Fangio's experience in this league as not only a coordinator, but a head coach.
So what he's giving you the idea is, hey, part of the issue with this organization was not just personnel last year. He's pointing to coaching. And if you're pointing to coaching, what you're doing is you are pointing a direct line at who was in charge last year. And Marcus Spears is not the first person I have heard point the finger directly at Fangio coming in here and making a difference. And I got to tell you guys, if it's Marcus Spears, if it's Brian Baldinger, if it is this laundry list of people all pointing at Fangio as a difference maker, and then Fangio comes in here and says, you know what? I don't need to see James Bradbury at corner. You know what? I don't want Quinyon Mitchell as my number one corner right now. You know what? I don't look into Kobe Dean right now as my, starting linebacker. Fangio sees something. And for right now, I'm going to trust that vision no matter how perplexing it is to me. Because Zach Bond is not a guy, and even Fangio admitted, you heard the audio just a few minutes ago, Fangio has admitted that he has not played a ton of snaps at inside linebacker. But they're playing him in minicamp like he is a every down linebacker. Now, we know what Devin White is. You know, whether it's Colin Thompson, who's been a guest with Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike on a Hump Day Wednesday, whether it is a guy like that, whether it is, I've heard Travis Kelce talk about this on the New Heights podcast. I've heard other players and former players, you know, the JJ Watt on, Pat McAfee's show, Chris Long talking about it on his Green Lane pod. I've heard a ton of players talk about Devin White like he's a stud. So if Fangio thinks he can get the most out of him, and he get the most out of Bond, and that those guys are both ahead of Nakobe Dean, there's got to be something there. And if Isaiah Rodgers and Keely Ringo are both getting reps at the outside corner consistently ahead of Quinyon Mitchell, and Cooper DeJean is almost completely relegated to slot corner or second team reps, again, there has to be something that, you know, we don't know, that we didn't know about coming into this year. And by the way, for those who are wondering, James Bradbury is not practicing today. There are pictures of him on the sideline, hands on the hips, jersey and shorts, no equipment, no pads, no nothing. He tripped during individual drills yesterday, fell, and he had to go to the medical tent. He is not practicing today. So certainly not a good start for minicamp for James Bradbury. And look, I look at Bradbury showing up for camp as a positive because, one, he's telling you that he at least wants to be here to show that he is still a viable commodity. And I know that sounds cheap to an extent, but I genuinely think that around the league, I don't know if people value James Bradbury as they used to. I don't know if this organization, if they've literally tried to trade him, but I get the sense that this organization doesn't know what to do with him. I think this organization, I think they realize that they have a player that is kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. He's not a corner that fits into every system. He is not a safety that fits into every system. He is a guy who is much better in zone than he is in man. Every time he plays man, he gets burned. Every time he plays zone, he looks effective. 2 years ago, he was a Pro Bowl caliber corner. 2 years before that, he was in, second or third team All-Pro caliber corner. But the point is that this guy has shown you that he is good as a zone corner. So this organization is in a very weird situation where they are trying to find a place for a guy that realistically has no place on this team. And I am more and more convinced that for the Philadelphia Eagles, if they are smart, they are going to find a way to move on from James Bradbury at some point. All right, back to the text board, 609-403-0973. Todd from Northfield chimes in that Nick Sirianni has another mediocre year. He is gone. I think that is a generally fair consensus, Todd. I don't really know anybody who has said otherwise to that point, because Sirianni has two opposing issues coming into this year. Number one, this is the first year where both of his coordinators are experienced play callers. When he first got to Philadelphia, Jonathan Gannon was a brand new DC, but Gannon was a well-respected coach around the league. Steichen was an experienced offensive play caller, but he didn't give Steichen the play calling until halfway through the 2021 year. Last year, when he lost Gannon and Steichen to both head coaching jobs, they elevated Brian Johnson, a guy who had no NFL offensive coaching experience as a coordinator, and they brought in Sean Desai, who had 1 year as a defensive play caller, and it blew up in their face. The offense regressed. Jalen Hurts regressed. The defense basically got worse throughout the year, and then when they changed to Matt Patricia, it just it turned. It was like the Eagles' defense last year became one of it's like if you got fruit, right? Let's say you went to the store, you got some fruit, and you looked over and you're like, you know what? The fruit still looks good. I'll eat it tomorrow. And then you wake up the next morning and you realize that now you got to clean off the entire table because the fruit has grown mold overnight, and you completely miscalculated how far along that fruit was and how long it had been sitting on your table. That's what the Eagles did with the defense last year. They thought, you know what? We'll be fine. We'll figure it out. They woke up the next day and they found out they got to clean the whole house. And that's what happened. So Sirianni, because he doesn't call plays, he gets to, for lack of a better term, vacate himself of some of that responsibility. But Todd from Northfield is right. It's the idea that Sirianni still has to figure out what kind of head coach he's going to be. Because we know in sports, you may be only as good as your supporting cast, whether it's your coaches, whether it's a quarterback with his wide receivers or offensive line. But we also know that in sports, you got to be a winner no matter what your circumstances are. And Sirianni is a playoff coach. He has gotten the team to the postseason 3 straight years. Now, 2 of those 3 years were first-round exits in Tampa to the Bucs versus 2 completely different quarterbacks, but the same head coach. We'll get more into the Eagles coming up next. Dave Weinberg covered the Eagles for over 3 decades. He'll join us coming up on the other side. Don't forget, today's Phillies lineup is being brought to you by Clark's Moving and Storage, located in Rio Grande. Moving is a breeze with Clark's Moving and Storage. Today's lineup, no JT Realmuto, not a surprise because the guy got run over at the plate, got hit in the cup by a foul ball. He had a rough night last night, so he's out of the lineup. This line is fascinating. Schwarber, Castellanos, Harper, Bohm, Stott, Sosa, Merrifield, Stubbs, Pache. No Rojas, no Dahl. No JT Realmuto. Very, very interesting that the Phillies are going into this 4 o'clock game today, sitting as many guys as they are. Now, part of the problem is that they have gone 2 straight days with Hennig being the opener for the Brewers, is a lefty, and they immediately go to a right-hander afterward. The Brewers did not announce their starting pitcher until a few hours ago. Their starting pitcher today is Aaron Ashby, a lefty. If you are wondering, Ashby is not a guy who's good. He's got an over 9 ERA this year. And he's only pitched 3 2/3 innings. So again, we get back to the overthinking when it comes to David Dahl fiasco. Not a fan of this lineup. Not a fan of benching Dahl and putting Pache in there. I don't like this at all. This is another example of this organization doing a little too much overthinking. And as I said, I can't completely blame what's his name? Rob Thompson, because Rob Thompson is not going to do anything contrary to what the organization wants him to do. There's no way that Rob Thompson woke up one day and said, Dave Dombrowski, Sam Fuld, they can take a long walk on a short pier. And by the way, Aaron Ashby with that bloated ERA, left-handed pitcher, if you are wondering, yes, he is related to former Phillies pitcher Andy Ashby. It's his nephew. Dave Weinberg joins me for Weinberg Wednesday. Coming in next, more of your texts a little bit later this hour, including Monday Marcus and others on the text board at 609-403-0973, and your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on 973 ESPN. Filling in for Mike Gill on a Hump Day Wednesday.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Hey, Philly, Burger King has cooked up something special for you. The new Philly Royal Crispy Chicken Wrap, filled with melty cheese, flame-grilled peppers and onions, rolled up in a soft, warm tortilla. It's just $2.99 and only around for a limited time. So grab one, or maybe 2, while you can. At BK, have it your way. You rule. Limited time only at participating Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area restaurants. Tax extra.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, messy poops, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day.
Cody was sleeping a lot, wasn't playing.
She was very lethargic and not moving around.
Dry kibble just wasn't cutting it. That's why, after more than 45 years of experience of helping dogs make complete health turnarounds, veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend. It's a freeze-dried raw dog food made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. And once dog parents switch their pups to Nature's Blend, the results can be astounding.
She's got her energy back. She's running around like she did like 5 years ago.
Miraculously, she's just feeling all around better. She's like a new dog. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Get your dog started today and save up to 54% off Nature's Blend. Plus, receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Gotta change my oil.
How about new Valvoline Restore and Protect? It restores and protects your engine to run like new.
Get in zone.
It restores your engine to like factory clean?
And protects.
Get in zone.
So Valvoline Restore and Protect restores and protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for $37.99.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Family Talk with Straight Talk.
You give and you give. It's time to get with Straight Talk Wireless. You get a reliable 5G network and unlimited data, and you get to choose who joins your family plan starting as low as $25 a line. Does it have to be family? It can be family or people you like.
Get more lines and more savings. Switch to Straight Talk for family plans starting as low as $25 a line per month for 4 lines. Find us at Walmart and straighttalk.com. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com. Family plan discount with 4 lines, all on the Silver Unlimited plan. Taxes and fees apply.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
The conversation around the Phillies continues. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN. Question of the day. The outfield has been an interesting topic of discussion for the Phillies in recent days and weeks, but Nick Castellanos has been coming along much better on the offensive side of things. Brandon Marsh did go down with an injury, and Johan Rojas continues to improve. But the rumors keep swirling about the Phillies being interested in an outfield bat. So that got us thinking, should the Phillies target an outfield bat over a bullpen arm at the trade deadline? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973. That's 609-403-0973, or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. In my estimation, I think they have to go bullpen arm over a bat because the offense will be just fine. Can't have more than enough pitching. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Hi, honey. Happy first day back at work. Can't wait to see you tonight. We are so proud of you.
Daddy, love you.
There are many reasons to start recovery. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, we are here to help. Call us. Our trained counselors are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to help. Your recovery is within reach. Call 844-REACH-NJ to learn about medication that can support your recovery. A message from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
Good afternoon. With your South Jersey weather forecast, I'm Joe Kelly. We're dealing with some unstable air around us. That'll be the case for the next 24 hours or so. Some scattered showers or thunderstorms possible the rest of the day and on into the evening tonight. Tonight's low about 69. And tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms possible again, especially in the afternoon tomorrow, with a high of 81. The good news for the weekend is looking pretty nice. Sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Highs each day around 80. That's your South Jersey weather. I'm Joe Kelly.
Did you know that New Jersey is leading the nation in clean energy investments?
Really, New Jersey?
And all with one thing in mind. You.
Me?
Uh-huh. New Jersey's Clean Energy Program offers incentives and services that benefit New Jersey residents, businesses, education, government, and nonprofit entities to help them save energy, money, and the environment.
Save money while saving the planet. Who knew?
Now you do. Visit njcleanenergy.com to learn even more.
Maybe we should change our nickname to the Clean Energy State.
A message from the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities.
We're listening to Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Catch on so big.
On 97 ESPN.
Josh Hennig, Philly for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN here on a Hump Day Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash. 3 o'clock hour being brought to you by Broadleys Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Broadleys is your trusted source for air conditioning and heating services, along with plumbing and installation for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadleys.net. We are about 30 minutes away from Philly's first pitch this afternoon against the Cardinals. Plus, the Eagles are at minicamp. And the last time the Eagles had minicamp, a mandatory minicamp, was 2019. And one of the people who was there was Dave Weinberg, who's now an Extra Points columnist for us at 973ESPN.com. And he joins me right now here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, welcome back in. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, Josh. How are you?
Pretty good. So, Dave, think about that. The last time the Eagles had a mandatory minicamp, you were still covering the team. I don't even know how that just, to me, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's taking so long. I guess Nick just didn't play. Nick Sirianni doesn't place a whole lot of emphasis on them, but kind of gathered that they were necessary now. And they do have some value, I guess, because, you know, it's the first chance for the veterans, all the veterans and the rookies to get to know each other and work out together and kind of build that camaraderie that you need for the season. So in that way, I think it's pretty valuable. I mean, as far as like the on the field stuff, maybe not so much because there's going to be a lot of changes between now and September, of course.
You're right. There are a lot of changes, but for you who has covered the team in the past, What is the biggest difference from your observations between a mini camp and then when we get to training camp usually?
No pads, rarely. I mean, not at the mandatory camp. I mean, mini camp. Not quite the same intensity. It's more of a learning process more than anything. You obviously you have veterans coming back, but now this year you have 2 new coordinators again, so they gotta, learn their systems, learn their ways of doing things. So I think it's more of just an educational process more than just like on the field stuff. Like I said, that's what training camp is for. That seems when a lot of jobs are either maintained or won or lost.
Well, it's interesting you said that because you mentioned about the jobs being won or lost. We are already seeing a lot right now. 2 days in minicamp. I know it's only 2 days, but still, we have consistently seen for 2 straight days Devin White, Zach Bond, the primary linebackers, not Nakobe Dean. We're seeing Isaiah Rodgers, Keely Ringo getting the starts at number 1 corner across from Slay, and not Mitchell, not DeJean. I mean, Bradbury's not even practicing today. So, again, how much should we read into the fact that certain guys are getting the majority of these reps?
I wouldn't read a whole lot into it. I don't know. I just this time of year, I think they're probably just like mixing and matching, kind of moving things around, see what they have, see what they might have. I'm a little surprised that the rookies aren't getting more attention. I mean, I would think your first 2 picks, you might want to put them in the lineup to, as soon as possible. But I guess there's plenty of time between now and when they have to do that kind of stuff. So I guess they're just maybe experimenting a little bit, just like I said, looking at different guys and see what they have. I wouldn't read a whole lot into it, though.
Talk with Dave Weinberg, Extra Point Columns over at 97.3 ESPN.com. Covered the Eagles for many years, joining us here on 97.3 ESPN for a Weinberg Wednesday earlier in the day, about 3 hours earlier than we usually talk, Dave. So I appreciate you joining me.
Yeah, you're interrupting my nap time, but that's okay.
I'm sure I'll get a text later about it complaining, but it's okay.
No, that's all right.
I did want to, you mentioned the veteran leaders because Brandon Graham told the media today something he said earlier this year in another interview. He talked about, again, the difference from last year to this year is the coaching. He pointed again to, hey, we had defensive coaches didn't put us in a position to be successful last year, and that these coaches are much different than last year. Brandon Graham, he's been around. He's had a few different coordinators. Do we put any credence to him saying that?
That kind of stuff really just doesn't float well with me. I don't know why you would throw a coach under the bus after he's gone. I mean, if your defense stunk, I think I'm sure a certain part of it was the scheme and the strategies, but it's on you too. I mean, you're an NFL player. You should be able to make plays when you really need to. I mean, their tackling was atrocious. That has nothing to do with your defensive scheme. There's probably a little bit of credence to it, but I don't understand the point of complaining about it now. I would just try to focus on what your new system is doing, what your new coordinator is doing, and go from there rather than dwell on the past.
Well, I will say in Graham's defense, he was asked a question, like what was the difference between last year and this year? So, and you know how those media conversations go. These players, some of them will answer questions and some of them won't. You know how that works.
Yeah. I mean, Brandon's always been an honest, forthcoming guy. He's not one to like skirt questions or dodge them. So, that's a credit for him. And I consider him a pretty valuable leader on that team. I've known him for a long time and always a stand-up guy. So I guess I'll give him a pass on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I can't, like if it's one of these idiots with a podcast, right? Because there's 2 million podcasts now,
Yeah.
If they say it on a podcast, it's one thing, but it's like if you're sitting there on the dais and you got, 50 Eagles media members sitting in front of you asking you questions, you don't want to be the guy who says no comment.
Right. That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of guys like that. They won't no comment you, but they won't give you much of an answer. They're kind of just, one word or one sentence. And
right.
But he's never been that way. It's just not his personality.
Speaking of veterans, I wanted to ask you also a little bit about Lane Johnson because, Nolan Smith the other day credited Lane Johnson for his development. He said that Lane Johnson basically took him aside and taught him how to position himself, how to get stronger. Nolan Smith put on 10 pounds of muscle this offseason. Apparently he's doing some working out with Lane Johnson. And, we always ask the question, you and me, Dave, and others, about how do the Eagles fill the void of no Jason Kelce in that locker room anymore? And it seems like Lane is kind of spearheading some of that extra leadership burden. And not that he wasn't a leader before, but Lane is not a guy who I don't think a lot of people would have thought of him maybe taking a defensive player aside and teaching him how to be a pass rusher. You know what I mean?
I think that might happen more than you think, Josh. I mean, I know several guys that have done it. Actually, they know that, and it improves both of their games, really. If you're, working with an elite pass rusher as an offensive lineman, he's making you, improve your pass blocking techniques and stuff, and vice versa. So, it's all designed to make both sides of the ball better. And, credit to Lane for taking the time out to do it.
Lane's interesting, Dave, because he's not that old. People act like he's so old, but he's only been in the league for like a decade and change.
Chip Kelly's first draft pick.
He was Chip Kelly, quote unquote. Remember, remember you? I think you were. I'm pretty sure you were at the press conference where Jeffrey Lurie said we're using Howie's board for the draft. Remember that whole thing?
Yep, I do. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, there's always been that conversation: who really drafted Lane Johnson, right?
Right. If it had been up to Chip, he'd have drafted all Oregon guys. So yeah,
that's true. He probably would have drafted some guy we never heard of, and we've been like, "Who's Marcus Smith?" I mean,
right.
But I will say it's interesting because Lane is a guy. He's not old, so it's like, how many more years though do you think we're getting elite level production from Lane before? Because the end of Jason Peters was more injuries than anything else, right? It wasn't like Jason Peters woke up one day and couldn't play football. It just the injuries caught up to him, and Lane has been the only guy tougher in Philadelphia. Lane Johnson might be JT Realmuto right now, the way he's getting banged up as a catcher. So I mean, what is your perspective on Lane at this point?
Lane's had some injuries too. I mean, he very rarely goes through a whole season without missing at least a game or two. But yeah, I mean, when he's healthy, he's as good as there is. I don't think that when he retires, I don't think it'll be physical reasons. I think it'll be emotional or family oriented. If you remember, he had some struggles with the depression and those kind of things. And I know he's got a couple kids now, I believe, and very family oriented. I think he just strikes me as a guy who would just decide to spend more time with his family and focus on things like outside of football. Not that he probably could play another 1 or 2 years after when he retires, but I think he's just the type of guy that would rather just call it a career when he wants to.
Speaking of the offensive side of the ball, the guy who's been getting the majority of the reps next to Johnson is Tyler Steen. So it looks like Tyler Steen is the first guy. And Dave, I can't get out of my head. I mentioned this to everybody who would listen to me, whether it's Mike Gill or anybody else. Sometimes I'm just talking to myself by myself in the studio, but I digress. I'm looking at Steen getting the starts, and I still wonder, is the starting right guard for this team even on the roster right now? Because I remember years ago, it was Isaac Sayamalu, it was Chance Warmack, it was all those different guys, Stefan Wisniewski. They all got shots at guard at one point, left guard. And there's a part of me that wonders, like, is Steen really the guy? Like, are we maybe looking at a situation where someone else might come in the training camp and take that job?
It's a possibility. I mean, I think like you said, in past years, they've always been willing to give a number of guys that shot at that. I think Tyler's like the first guy up, and I don't know if he's necessarily the only guy up, depending on how he performs in training camp and in the preseason. I wouldn't be surprised if they look to upgrade that position if they think they need to. Maybe either someone else on the roster or bringing someone else from the outside. I wouldn't be shocked at that at all.
Dave, before I let you go, I did want to hit on the Phillies real quick. They are finding ways to win, and 2 of their walk-off wins this year, of their 4 walk-off wins, 2 of the 4 are because of Nick Castellanos. So do we keep being patient with Nicky C to let him get things figured out because he's hitting better recently, even though I still don't know why this guy's in no days off. It makes no sense to me. But
Yeah, that's very puzzling.
Do we stay patient with him?
Yes. Yeah. Hey, he's a good player. I mean, he's an all-star last year, right? I mean, he evidently tailed off at the end of the year, but yeah, I think he's an everyday player. I'm baffled like you. I don't understand why he doesn't get days off just to rest, if nothing else. I mean, slumping aside, I mean, just give him a day off once in a while. Maybe it's in his contract or something. He's got to play every day. I don't know, but that is just kind of puzzling to me why he's never had a day off there. That makes no sense. But yeah, I'm not going to bench him, but I would sit him like once in a while just to give him a break, But I think he's a good player. I think he'll work it out.
ESPN MLB insider Geoff Passan reported yesterday, Dave, that two of the players who might be in the market that the Phillies could maybe make some calls on, Randy Arozarena of the Rays, Luis Robert Jr. of the White Sox, two players struggling on not good teams this year. Any interest in either of those names?
Oh, at least it's not Mike Trout getting brought up. That's good. I guess either one might be a fit. I mean, then the Phillies are a team that they're going to be contenders, but if they feel they're one player away from maybe putting themselves in really elite position, then why not go out and get it? I don't see any problem with that. If you think you can make your team that much better, then go for it.
I like the idea of another right-handed bat. I just don't know if those type of players who are used to being everyday players, Dave, would they be willing to accept a platooning role?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But maybe they value winning over more than anything. I mean, they're both in pretty bad situations right now, especially the White Sox. So maybe you just need to change the scenery, change a breath a breath of fresh air, and just embrace your role and try to make the most of it. And along those lines, I was wondering, what do you do with Sosa when Turner comes back?
I mean, some people suggest you put Turner in center field.
Really? Huh.
I mean, he played center field for the Nationals previously. So.
Oh, did he? Okay. Huh. I never even thought of that. That's an interesting scenario. So you bench Rojas and just put Turner out there, huh?
Yeah, my only concern with it, though, is he's coming off a hamstring injury. Anytime there's soft tissue injuries, it's a really good idea to tell the guy coming off the soft tissue injury, go roam center field for the day.
Yeah, that's true. But you definitely think Sosa deserves to be there? Not taking him out.
I think he's played his way into playing more. But, I mean,
yeah,
I could be wrong. They play Castellanos every day of April, and he played like poo. So, I mean...
Yeah, that's who knows what they're thinking. Yeah,
I mean, they should have never benched Dahl last night. I don't know what that was about, the pinch hit situation. And he's not playing today. It's like the dude was 3 for 5, and you're like, sit on the bench.
Yeah. I don't give a thing. It was working so far, though, so I guess you can't question it. But it'd be interesting to see what happens if things go south a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely will be interesting. Dave Weinberg joining me, Extra Point Columns at 973ESPN.com. Dave Weinberg, 19 on the Twitter X platform, joining me here 3 hours earlier than usual, interrupting his afternoon nap. But he's joining me here on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, always appreciate the conversation, the time.
Oh, thanks a lot, Josh. I appreciate it as always. I'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Of course, Dave will be back with me on game night next week here on 97.3 ESPN throughout the year. Dave usually joins me on game night, talk some Eagles, talk some Phillies. Also, he's Hall of Fame boxing writer, so we get some boxing as well throughout the year. So Dave and I usually talk about a lot of different things throughout the year. All right, coming in next. Monday Marcus sent in a text, and I don't want to ignore him before I get to the end of the show. Also, more text coming in, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small.
Can't wake up without it.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
At Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 68 or more OSB sheathing. And there's more. Save 10% on select James Hardy products when you buy in bulk. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
3, 2, 1.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
It's the third month of Matt Blatt Kia's 2 for $222. And this is the final month. 2 new Kias for $222. Brand new 2024 Kia Forte. Just $111 per month lease. With 0 security deposit. And just $39.95 due at signing. With a price like that, why not get 2 for $222? Have a job clearing $450 per week? We want to approve you today. With 0 down. And pay just 1.9% for 48 months on every clearly marked new Kia Sportage in stock. Or drive home 2 Kia Fortes for $222.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, 24 Sportage, $21.65 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Through KNF, 24 months, $111 per month, 10,000 miles per year. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel, not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise in the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We are told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code SUPPORT or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511. Morning Kick.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
She posted about us just now.
Celebrities can't get enough of Beyonce's bespoke skincare line.
She has 147 million followers. How do we monetize?
She needs a social media associate to help her with the hype.
We should repost this. Do we need a hashtag?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City. A community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, before we wrap up the hour, thanks again to Dave Weinberg for joining me. Still to come, Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast. Knicks Nuggets also in the next hour, and Dave Klemic, former Chiefs wide receiver and Mainland Regional High School graduate. I want to shout out Monday Marcus because he said he's been enjoying the show. He said he still owes me a beer, but he says, I'm the best Met fan here. He says, we owe you a beer. I hope the games in London are competitive. Maybe we'll split and tell the Phillies fan base to calm down. They had the best record in the National League. But he said, the Mets are still in it. So, listen, I don't hate on Met fans, Monday Marcus. I appreciate you. I appreciate you listening to the show. I appreciate you offering to buy me a beer. If I ever see you out, I won't say no. Okay? You're a good Mets fan. I believe in you. Geoff Mosher, next.
Hey, it's Tom P., host of Rack and Fin Radio, inviting you to join me every Saturday morning at 7 here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Each week, we discuss the hot topics affecting the sportsmen and sportswomen in New Jersey. Hunting, fishing, boating, conservation, and Second Amendment topics are some of the issues that are covered in depth.
Rack and Fin Radio is brought to you by Utch's Marina.
That's Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P., every Saturday morning at 7 on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's sports leader.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel, not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise in the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hey, Verizon customers, want the best in-home Wi-Fi? X marks the spot. Get Xfinity Gig Speed Internet for the lowest price ever, with unlimited data included, so you can stream, shop, chat, game, and work on all your devices, all at the same time. Now through June 24th, new customers can get Xfinity Gig Internet for only $30 a month for 12 months, with no annual contract, when you add one line of Xfinity Mobile Unlimited. For savings more than $800 over Verizon in your first year, X marks the spot. Switch to fast, reliable Xfinity Internet and bring on the good stuff. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and autopay with stored bank account. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Compares promotional pricing for Xfinity Gig Internet and one Xfinity Mobile Unlimited line versus Verizon Fios Gig Internet and one Welcome Plan line. After promo, regular rates apply. Gig Wi-Fi requires Xfinity Gateway. Actual speeds vary. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. Reduced speeds up to 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds may vary.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
New Jersey is leading the nation in clean energy investments with one thing in mind: you. Save money while saving the planet. New Jersey's Clean Energy Program is a statewide program that offers incentives, programs, and services that benefit New Jersey residents, businesses, education, government, and nonprofit entities to help us all save energy, money, and the environment. Discover how you can start saving today and help ensure a cleaner future. Visit njcleanenergy.com to see what New Jersey's Clean Energy Program can do for you. A message from the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities.
Hey, have you heard the amazing news from Boost Mobile? When you switch to Boost, you get 4 lines for $100, plus 4 free 5G devices, like the Samsung Galaxy A15 or the Moto G Stylus 5G. That's 4 lines for $100. Need another reason to switch? Boost offers high-speed data at low prices with no annual contracts and no credit checks. Switching is easy. Just head over to your local Boost Mobile store. New customers in select markets only. Requires port-in and ID verification. Other restrictions apply. See participating dealers for details.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, messy poops, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day.
Cody was sleeping a lot, wasn't playing.
She was very lethargic and not moving around. Dry kibble just wasn't cutting it.
That's why, after more than 45 years of experience of helping dogs make complete health turnarounds, veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend. It's a freeze-dried raw dog food made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. And once dog parents switch their pups to Nature's Blend, the results can be astounding.
She's got her energy back. She's running around like she did like 5 years ago.
Miraculously, she's just feeling all around better. She's like a new dog. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Get your dog started today and save up to 54% off Nature's Blend. Plus, receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Get ready for the ultimate showdown. Tale of Garcia, presented by Danny Garcia's new Swift Promotions, is coming to Atlantic City. Mark your calendars for June 15th at the Boardwalk Hall. Witness the thrill of live boxing like never before. Don't miss out on the action-packed event of the summer. Get your tickets now. Tale of Garcia, where champions are made and legends are born.
This is South Jersey Sports Leader, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN presents the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
Just hungry to bring back another Lombardi to Philly. The fans deserve it. Our team deserves it. Culture begs for it.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also the YouTube channel. Just search Inside the Birds. Geoff Mosher joins us back here on a Wednesday edition. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Day 2 of Eagles minicamp, and we're getting some information. How much of that information, though, do we translate moving forward? Geoff Mosher joins us now to get more into it. Geoff, first, welcome in. How you doing on this Wednesday?
I'm doing great, Josh. How are you?
Doing good, and I'm glad I get the chance to talk to you because you're someone who has seen a lot of different iterations of the Eagles over the years, and I am very fascinated by these defensive alignments they got going on out there because I understand that Vic Fangio told us a month ago that he really liked Zach Bond. I understand he said, I want to give these guys as much as they can before the season starts. But never in my wildest dreams did I expect Zach Bond to be one of the primary linebackers with the first team. And that's where I want to start. We're seeing already, I know it's only 2 days, Geoff, but we're seeing a lot of Bond, a lot of White, and the third guy is Nakobe Dean. Do we read anything into this? Because this is a completely new defensive coaching staff than we had last year.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to disappoint you. More importantly, our listeners, our crossover listeners at 97.3 and Inside the Birds. But I put so little into what I see at OTAs because, as you just said, I've seen so much, Josh. That was a very kind way of you dating me and my age here. This will actually be almost 20 years of covering the Eagles now for me. And some certain things just make sense. If you believe that a certain player can be cross-trained at a certain position, you start doing that early. And if you believe that this player has the ability, not just cross-train as a backup, but has the ability to do it as a starter, you've got to get that player reps against real competition as much as you can in the spring and summer, right? And the only avenues to do that are these camps and then when training camp starts. So when I see Zach Bond running at first team inside linebacker, there's no hidden answers to the test. Vic Fangio said, we think this guy can play inside linebacker. We already know he can play outside edge rusher linebacker. We want to see him play inside linebacker. Well, they're seeing him do it. Mekhi Becton is playing guard because the Eagles, as we reported when they first signed him on May 1st, I believe we reported it on May 1st, that they wanted to take him a look at him at guard. So here's an opportunity that was presented because Landon Dickerson wasn't there. Now you could throw him in a third team guard and give him that opportunity, but the opportunity presented itself, and he's played enough games in the NFL, and they want to get a good look against real competition. So he's out there. He was out there at left guard for Landon Dickerson. This to me does not signal that when the season starts, Mekhi Becton pencil him in at right guard instead of Tyler Steen. And it doesn't mean that Nakobe Dean is now being benched or being thought of otherwise. He's coming back from 2 foot injuries. I'm certainly also not saying Nakobe Dean's, done so much in his first 2 years that he deserves to start. You got new guys, you got a new coordinator. Even today, right? Quinyon Mitchell, I think, was running at points on the first team, but so was Isaiah Rodgers and so was Billy Ringo. So that unfortunately is OTAs. You try to read through the tea leaves, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble.
All right. So in an attempt not to overly read into anything, as you said, you mentioned the corners because I think that's fascinating because it is not Quinyon Mitchell getting the first reps on the outside. It's been Keely Ringo yesterday and Isaiah Rodgers today. And by all reports, it looks like both of those guys have performed admirably, while Mitchell has also not performed poorly. For a guy who pretty much started his entire college career outside, they're playing him a lot inside, and he's holding up. So it kind of makes you wonder. Fangio said last month, Geoff, that he wants to be versatile. He doesn't want to have the same defense out there all the time. Mm-hmm. So it really does seem like he's telling these guys, look, get ready. I'm going to play you in a lot of different variations this year.
When the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Josh, in 2017, one of their big acquisitions at the end of camp was Ronald Darby.
Yep.
They really needed a corner. They didn't have an established corner. Ronald Darby got hurt at the, I think, in either week 1 or week 2 and wound up missing 10 straight
week 1 in Washington, I believe.
Yeah. And they didn't just fill him with one spot. They had Rasul Douglas as a rookie. They had everybody's favorite guy to forget, Jalen Watkins, I believe, is who they had.
Not Jalen Mills. He was already there.
Well, they had Jalen Mills too, but he was on the other side, right? And then they had Patrick Robinson. So they would start Patrick Robinson on the outside, move him inside a nickel, then either bring in Watkins or Rasul Douglas. And the point I'm trying to make is Jim Schwartz had the foresight to know that he had different guys that he could play. And, I never really knew what specifically when he was going to go with one or the other, or if he was just trying to get reps up. I mean, it was always going to be Ronald Darby's job when he got back, but 10 weeks is a long time to go. So the point I hear is that Vic Fangio is new and he's got new players and he's got to get comfortable with them all. And Isaiah Rodgers is a guy who not only missed all of last year for the suspension, but Andrew DiCecco did a good job writing about this. He missed the last few games of the 2022 season with a foot injury. So this guy hasn't played football in a long time. He needs reps. They need to see what they got in him. So it doesn't surprise me. They're going to, and with all rookies, especially first-round picks and especially first-round picks in the latter half of the first round, they usually always have to earn their stripes. They don't always start off immediately. So this brings me back to my favorite expression, which is, call me on August 15th and let's have a discussion about who the first team this and that are. Although even that, if you go back to last year, Kevon Wallace was running with the first team for a little while and everybody thought he was going to finally make it and have this breakthrough year at safety. He doesn't even make the team.
Right.
Terrell Edmonds, first team safety for most of camp. And then by the last week of August, it was Justin Evans. So let's just see how they all play when the pads come out.
Talking with the Eagles insider reporter, Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, at Geoff P. Mosher on the Twitter X platform. Joining me here at Football at 4 on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Speaking of the coaches, you mentioned Fangio a couple times there. I want to play for you what Brandon Graham said today because he was asked by the media what to him has been the biggest difference between last year and this year. And this isn't the first time Brandon has said this. He said this in an interview a couple months ago. Well, now he has spent more time with the coaches. And I don't want to put words in his mouth, but it almost sounds like to me, Geoff, you know what you think, it almost sounds like he's doubling down on this point.
We got a good coach in Clint, and I really think that last year we just didn't. That's what we didn't have. We didn't have all the right coaches in the right position. I would say. And, you could just see the guys just truly believing in what we got going on. And I'm excited for the young guys that just came in and new rookies coming in. They really going to get a good shot at and good taste of what it really is to be in the NFL.
It sounds a lot like the reporting you, Geoff, and Adam had on the Inside the Birds pod about how there were some legitimate problems with that coaching staff last year.
Yeah, again, this is one of those, the answers to the test were all there in front of everybody. I don't think anybody at this point especially is shocked to hear players talking about the fact that you had, by the second half of the year especially, you had a guy running a scheme that wasn't his, and that's, Matt Patricia trying to run a Fangio-style scheme implemented by Sean Desai, right? I mean, you had different guys coaching up front, whether it was Washburn with the edges and Tracy Rocker on the inside. I mean, they lost Denard Wilson. That obviously had three different defensive backs coaches. It's okay to have multiple coaches. It's just everybody's got to be on the same page. And it didn't feel like from the start, I mean, even during the 10-1 start, how often did we talk about defense got lucky here? This guy dropped the pass. Justin Jefferson fumbles a ball out of the end zone. Somebody from the Chiefs, right? MVS drops a pass at the end of the game. There were just so many. Tyreek Hill dropped the touchdown pass in the Miami game. All these one-possession games that were the Eagles sort of were lucky to win because their breakdowns were not fully exposed. The Dallas game where Dak runs out of bounds. So, not a surprise. I mean, you had – again, the biggest thing is you had two different defensive coordinators. You had one running a scheme that wasn't his, and a lot of confusion in the secondary, and up front too.
Well, up front's half of it, because if the whole communication issue, if you're not telling the front, Brandon Graham and all those guys what they should be doing correctly, and you're not telling the back end what they should be doing correctly, then when James Bradbury gets burned because he's a zone corner asked to play man, why should we be surprised that things didn't go right?
We looking back, shouldn't be. And I don't think most people were. I mean, even as the season was unfolding, because it was pretty clear coaching was a big issue and communication was a big issue and being on the same page was a big issue as well. By the way, the whole I've heard Mike talking about this. You just brought it up, and I'll address it now too. I do think certain schemes can help right? Like James Bradbury, if you put him in Wink Martindale's man press, you're in trouble, right? He's not a man corner. He's been in his own corner. But the idea that like Vic Fangio's zone scheme is going to be better than Sean Desai's, or their zone is zone. You know what I'm saying? Like match carry deliver is match carry deliver. And no matter who you are, you have to play some man defense at times. You got to go cover one and man guys up. Even if you're rushing four, because they're going to throw a lot of different outlets at you, right? So I don't think that there's some magic elixir in what Vic Fangio does that's going to make James Bradbury an all-pro corner again. So,
well, is that maybe part of the reason why he got reps at safety yesterday? Because they're trying to figure out what Bradbury can do versus what he can't do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to look into that a little bit more. I tend to think, there's no numbers at safety right now. I mean, they literally have two legit. Well, yeah, two, right? With CJ Gardner-Johnson and with
and Reed
Blankenship. And let's be honest, like Reed is like a third or a fourth safety. I mean, he could be a number two safety if everything else around him is good. But Sidney Brown's hurt right now. Tristan McCollum played nicely in some of his spots, but nobody expected him to be.
You're being nice.
In the top three, right? So yeah, so you put Bradbury there because he's not going to be your starting. He's not going to be the starting corner. You drafted Quinion Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. You got Keely Ringo. He's just not going to be the starting corner. Now, I don't think they move him to safety saying, hey, let's see what we got there. I think it's just, the funny thing is it's sort of like, let's keep him healthy, but then he gets hurt first day. Right. Whether that's real or not, I don't know. I'll look more into that. But
well, it was weird because I saw the reporting yesterday on social media where like, oh, he was injured backpedaling, and all of a sudden you get the video of him going to the tent with the trainer, and you're like, you got injured backpedaling, and now he's on the sidelines, hands on hips in some of the pictures, like almost like I don't want to be here, and you're just like.
I don't think we can blame backpedaling on the whole move to safety. I'm pretty sure as a corner, a zone corner, that's part of your job as well. So
right. It's just so strange because you mentioned how they're thin they are at safety. And you also mentioned a few minutes ago, Geoff, remember a couple of years ago, they brought in Ronald Darby. A couple of years after that, they brought in CJ Gardner-Johnson. Howie Roseman has gone out and traded for guys in the past. So, I mean, there's a possibility, and I don't think it's hyperbole to say this, the starting safety of this team is not currently on the roster.
That's possible. That is very possible. We'll see. I mean, it could be a trade. I know Simmons is still out there, and you're going to have to wonder how long he's willing to stay unemployed until, for his price tag until his price tag comes down. So obviously that's a name everybody will be watching. But the Eagles aren't the only one wondering, when Justin Simmons is going to decide to play. So, and there are a lot of teams that need safety help as well. So that'll be an interesting one.
If we could flip it over to offensive line, because you mentioned earlier Mekhi Becton getting reps at left guard, which we know he's only there because, Landon Dickerson is not there right now. Excused absence. He's just, he's not there. It's not like he's like abandoning the team or something in the offseason. Let's keep that in mind. Folks who are wondering, where's Landon Dickerson? But you mentioned about right guard. Right now it's Tyler Steen. Becton's in the building. You drafted the young guy from Michigan, Trevor Keegan. Yeah, Trevor Keegan.
Who's already hurt. And as we reported on Inside the Birds, there were some issues with, how scouts felt his durability.
True. Although he did start 37 games in college, that
goes back to sort of the same thing with Nakobe Dean. He never missed a game at Georgia, except there were concerns about his ability to hold up because of his body size and his frame at the NFL level. So this was a different situation. But but their concerns were there.
So when you look at right guard, I had the same question I will ask you that I asked Mike Gill a few days ago. Is the starting right guard for this team even in the building right now? Is it like safety where we could be halfway through training camp and I pick up my phone, I put on the Inside the Birds pod, and you and Adam are talking about the Eagles trading for a right guard?
Yeah, I mean, look, so it's kind of funny because 2 pods ago, what's today? Today's Wednesday. So the one that came out on, I think Thursday? I don't know, maybe the one that came out Monday. I lose track of time. The one that one of the more recent ones came out. We were looking at positional depth, and we said, right guard is a spot where it wouldn't surprise us if the Eagles still had a move left. And literally that day is the day they signed Max Sharping. So maybe that was Monday, right?
Monday, yeah.
Yeah. So boy, we nailed that one pretty well. So I do think the starting right guard for the Eagles, and barring anybody getting hurt or some major, I think the starting right guard for the Eagles is on the team right now.
Okay.
I think only because I mean, what else is out there? I mean, Sharping is a guy who's played for 6 years, right? And he started playoff games. You're not going to find anybody else on the way. You might find somebody who gets cut, but is that guy going to be any different than Matt Sharping at this point? Probably not.
Well, the reason I bring it up is because
Steen and Becton are your lead candidates. I mean, Matt Hennessy has never played guard, even though he's center/guard. I think he's more backup center. But between Steen, Becton, and Sharping, right, I feel like someone's got to emerge there.
My mind, Geoff, keeps going back to 2017, right? Remember they brought in Chance Warmack and they drafted Isaac Seumalo, and eventually it was Wisniewski, the guy that nobody thought was going to be the starting guard, and they win a Super Bowl. It's just sometimes this stuff happens. I mean, at least in my mind, I don't remember anyone saying in 2017, oh yeah, Wisniewski is the starter at left guard for this team.
No, I mean, it was crazy because by the time they got into the season, he was the top backup guard because they were going to go with Seumalo and it didn't work right at that moment. And what a great rebound story for Isaac Seumalo. But yeah, so they went to Warmack for like a second. That didn't work. And then they decided we're going to go with our steady veteran. Right. And I feel like you have that situation here. You have a guy you want to win it in Tyler Steen. You have maybe a project the way Warmack was as a former first round pick in Becton. Mm-hmm. And if all else fails, you have a guy who has started for many years and has played in playoff games in Sharping. So, the only difference is you got no Jason Kelce. So it's a little bit tougher,
yes.
Right? Yeah.
And that's the part that I heard Brian Baldinger bring up on Chris Long's podcast a couple of weeks ago, where he said, Baldy said, look, you had a guy in Kelsey who was there for a decade plus. You had stability. You had the same guy doing everything. And, Adam brought up yesterday on Football at 4, Geoff, we still haven't heard what Cam Jurgens is like, calling out the blitzes, organizing the offensive line. I mean, the dude doesn't exactly have the ton of experience even in college at center. So it's like, you almost look at Hennessy and you're like, is that a break glass in case of emergency situation?
Man. And if that's the case, it's probably not a great, I mean, you want him to be your backup guard center. He has 0 starts at guard in the NFL. So now you've got other guys who have at least started guard, and so neither does Mekhi Becton, right? But you have a different conversation when you're talking about a freak of nature athlete, at least that he was, and a former first round pick. So it gives them options. It gives them optionality. And like I said, I suppose if at the end of camp, if they're disappointed with all 3 or 4 of these guys, maybe there's a move to be made. But it's hard to believe that move to be made is going to inspire some great. It's a waiver wire pickup. It's a low-level trade. Every team is looking for better offensive linemen. So if there's an offensive lineman available, that means the team is disappointed with that guy, and it's probably not a great situation because otherwise you're looking to keep as many offensive linemen, decent ones, as you've got.
Yeah. Geoff, before I let you go, I did want to hit on, again, not trying to age you, but as someone who has seen a lot of variations of Philadelphia sports, has heard how fans can be, there is a lot of, shall I call it, consternation online about Jalen Hurts and his extra large biceps and triceps this week. There's the pictures of him in the sleeveless shirt, and he looks like he's training to be a superhero with the amount of body flexion he's got going on. So my question to you is, what is your response to some fans are saying, hey, great, Jalen's in great shape. Other people are saying he's too buff to play quarterback.
So I was actually unaware. Maybe that's, I'm also showing my age because I'm not living on X or Instagram like a lot of people are, but I was unaware that this was a thing. Listen, I won't dismiss it because I remember this was a thing about Donovan toward the latter half of his career. He got injured. Remember, he was hurt in 2006. He was hurt in 2005 and 2006, right? 2005 was the injury to his core muscle, right? And then 2006 was the ACL, right? So he came back in 2007 and they were like a 500 team. And I remember him getting a little bit bigger and talking about the injuries and trying to get stronger. And he was a big guy to begin with. And some people felt like when he got bigger, he became less agile, less mobile, and his play, they felt regressed for it too. I have not seen what Jalen Hurts looks like. I'm not really worried about it at the moment, but again, you can sort of understand this guy has been taking a beating the last few years. You had the collarbone injury, you had the knee injury, the ankle injury. Everybody thought he was hurt for a lot of last year, the way he was getting down quicker or not running. So maybe now you're talking about biceps, right? That's a little bit different than your whole entire body. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to rival Will Levis for most yoked up quarterback in the NFL. I don't know. I don't know what the science behind it is. It remains to be. We'll have to see if he looks different as a mover or thrower of the football because of it.
Yeah, I'm having trouble finding the exact picture, but I found a video example. I'll share it on the screen with you here, because
you got to be careful because I vaguely remember around these times, right, mini camps, training camps, where you'll see like these side pictures of guys, like especially running backs, and they'll be like, "Oh my God, this guy's so fat." I think they did that to Ezekiel Elliott one year, and it was just like he was just having a sweaty jersey on, and then like the next day he looked like normal again.
I mean, this is the video where the picture's from, basically, where he clearly has some impressive definition on the delts and the arms. Then he just conveniently pulls the sleeve down to cover it up all of a sudden, but there's a screenshot of this, him near the other quarterbacks, and it's like, Hurts looks like he's preparing, for the Wolverine Deadpool movie instead of the NFL season,
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I don't know if doing that, looking like that, actually makes your arms stronger. I've been told that a lot of the strength in your throws is about your lower body, which he is, extremely strong at, and how you plant to the ground. I mean, certainly it doesn't. I'm sure it doesn't hurt to have stronger biceps in that situation, but when it comes to quarterback play, decision making, accuracy, pre-snap awareness, post-snap awareness, that's going to be the stuff that really determines how well of a year that he has. So I don't make too much of a big deal about the bigger biceps.
Yeah.
I mean, was Tom Brady yoked up? Was Aaron Rodgers yoked up? I mean, you know what I'm saying? These guys were strong, no doubt, but you never said, oh man, give me those.
Yeah, biceps. But can I just say this? Tom Brady's an anomaly. Like,
okay,
you know what I mean?
Then give me, who is CJ Stroud yoked up? I don't know. I haven't seen any, what he looks like, but I'm saying how many quarterbacks who are just above average are you raving about the size of their biceps?
Almost none.
Right. So
that's
Will Levis, what's the first thing you say about Will Levis? And by the way, Will Levis might go on to be a good quarterback. I'm not trying to diss Will Levis, nor am I trying to downplay Jalen Hurts. I'm just saying, like, the first thing you'll say about Will Levis is, oh my God, he looks like, Mr. like USA, right? But we have no idea what kind of quarterback he's going to be.
I just, like I said, I'm not trying to diss Jalen or anything, but I've just saw a lot of people sharing the screenshot from that Twitter video. Thanks to Chris Franklin from TSB putting it out there. Apparently, I think that he's gotten more followers out of just that video than anything he's ever done. You know how that works, Geoff. It's like you break news. You're a great reporter. Nobody cares. You put out one viral video.
Josh, I remember working at back when it was called Comcast Sportsnet, now NBC Sports Philly. We had this board that would show you all the stories on the website and what the views were. Mm-hmm. And literally the day that Cole Hamels pitch a no-hitter and then they traded him like the next day or something?
Like a week later, yeah.
A week later,
right? I guess it was the Cubs. I think it was.
Yeah, sometime in that span that happened. And I had been chasing down a story for a long time and finally got it about Chris Polk. I mean, this is how ridiculous it is. It's Chris Polk. He's the fourth running back on the team. They had given him the low free agent tender because he was like a undrafted free agent. And then he wanted them to renege it. He wanted to be a free agent. So they finally reneged it because they had added in free agency. So I got the scoop. I had it first. I put it out there, wrote a story on it. That was the number one story on csnphilly.com over the Cole Hamels no-hitter or trade, what it was, because that's how the Eagles are in Philly, right? And so to your point about the most little thing can get like blow up, or now we call it going viral. I remember walking into I'm like, are people crazy? They care this much about Chris Polk now being a free agent more than Cole Hamels? It's crazy.
It is funny. But Polk, was he University of Washington Husky?
Yes, he was. Yeah, and Jalen Polk was not related, by the way. I checked in. I was a big Chris Polk fan, by the way. I liked him. He was a good dude. Ran like probably why he didn't have a very long career, but he ran like the way Isaiah Pacheco runs now. I mean, he just bowled people over.
Yeah.
But he was always hurt because of it.
Well, I mean, speaking of related, the guy who started today for the Brewers, Aaron Ashby, he's the nephew of Andy Ashby.
Well, now I really feel old. So, yeah.
Which is ironic to bring the whole conversation full circle, because I told the story. You're telling stories. I'll tell a story real quick before I let you go. Mm-hmm. So I was talking about, Met fans. So my first Phillies game as a little kid, little Josh, it was Phillies Mets at Veterans Stadium. Terry Mulholland was pitching. Andy Ashby came in out of the bullpen in that game. And that was the game the Mets fans dumped beer on my head because I was so upset the Phillies kept striking out in the latter innings of that game against the lowly Mets, and it started a brawl in the 600 level because the Mets fans poured beer on 6-year-old Josh's head.
Now, going back, 6-year-old Josh just should have been smarter and looked up and opened up his mouth, and he would have had his first sample of some beer, right? You would have your early, like, hey, this stuff is pretty good.
Are you saying that my intrinsic interest in craft beer today started when I was 6 years old because of that Met fan dumping beer on my head?
Very, very possible. You never know. Very Freudian.
He's Geoff Mosher at Geoff P. Mosher on the Twitter X platform, joining us here for Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com, and wherever you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Geoff, great stuff today. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, brother. See you.
And, of course, Football at 4 being brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 1365. Coming up next, Nick Earnshaw is back with Nick's Nuggets here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM and a 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And it just keeps getting better.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Do you have a job? Do you have $199? Do you want a brand new Nissan?
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trademan can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Then drive home in your new Nissan Altima S or Sentra SV for only $199 per month lease with zero security deposit and only $29.99 due. That's a brand new 24 Nissan Altima S or Sentra SV that gets up to 39 miles per gallon for only $199 per month. And don't forget the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind 4-day love it or leave it return policy only at Matt Blatt Nissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. VIN RY229097 and RN330138. Sentra. Lease selling price $25,509. Ultimate lease selling price $27,829. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike. Egg Harbor Township.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
You met with the stable boy despite your father's orders. He hoisted you onto the saddle and you wrapped your arms around him, embracing his silent strength. He lay you down amongst the wildflowers. You experienced love like never before while you were buying dish soap. There's more to imagine when you listen. Discover heart-stopping romance titles on Audible.
Not to brag, but Progressive's Name Your Price tool is mankind's greatest tool ever. Even better than the wheel. Sure, without the wheel, we wouldn't have modern transportation or funny videos of dogs riding skateboards. But without the Name Your Price tool, we wouldn't have easy access to auto insurance options based on our budget. And, well, cars do need wheels. They also need insurance, and insurance never goes flat. Learn more about the greatest tool ever, the Name Your Price tool at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
The conversation around the Phillies continues. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN. Question of the day. The outfield has been an interesting topic of discussion for the Phillies in recent days and weeks, but Nick Castellanos has been coming along much better on the offensive side of things. Brandon Marsh did go down with an injury, and Johan Rojas continues to improve. But the rumors keep swirling about the Phillies being interested in an outfield bat. So that got us thinking, should the Phillies target an outfield bat over a bullpen arm at the trade deadline? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973. That's 609-403-0973, or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. In my estimation, I think they have to go bullpen arm over a bat because the offense will be just fine. Can't have more than enough pitching. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
True TV and Practical Jokers, the Drive Tour, starring Q, Murr, and Sal. Saturday, July 13th, Ovation Hall and Ocean Casino Resort. On sale now at theoceanac.com. 16 years of age or older suggested to attend.
Good afternoon. With your South Jersey weather forecast, I'm Joe Kelly. We're dealing with some unstable air around us. That'll be the case for the next 24 hours or so. Some scattered showers or thunderstorms possible the rest of the day and on into the evening tonight. Tonight's low about 69. And tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms possible again, especially in the afternoon tomorrow, with a high of 81. The good news for the weekend is looking pretty nice. Sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Highs each day around 80. That's your South Jersey weather. I'm Joe Kelly.
Summers in New Jersey were made to wow you. From sun and wows to fun and wows, chillin' wows to thrillin' wows. So come see what your wow's gonna be. New Jersey, it's one summer. Little state, lot of wow.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Knicks Nuggets is being brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. By the way, the Phillies are still a nothing game. Bryson Stott on second base right now. So Phillies trying for the sweep against the Brewers, although as I said earlier today, as we bring Nick Earnshaw in here, host of the Shift podcast and producer for the Locker Room with Billy Triumph on the weekends here on 97.3 ESPN. I'm really getting tired of these openers. Ashby, Koenig. I mean, it's got to go, man. I feel it's almost disingenuous the way they're handling this thing, man. How you doing?
What's going on, Josh? Yeah, can we stop with the openers and the bullpen games with one guy going? How about the other night, the first game of the series, 5 pitches to start a game, and you pull them? Like, that's crazy.
It doesn't start there. It starts that earlier in the day, Wilson was the scheduled starter.
Yeah.
Okay? Then around like 4 o'clock, the Brewers were like, nope, it's going to be another guy. And then it starts 2 straight days for 1 inning. And they bring in the righty out of the bullpen anyway. Like, what is this? What did Nick Sirianni take over the Brewers coaching staff? They got to be like, oh, don't know what's coming. Don't know what's coming. Like, it's the stupidest thing in the world.
I know. So that's pitching now in 2024. In 1924, you had guys going every single day pitching like 7 or 8 innings. Oh, they go back-to-back 16 innings in 2 days. No problem. 100 years later, we can't even go more than 10 pitches. Josh, it's insane. It's crazy.
So
it's a little over the top. I can't lie. It is a little over the top.
All right. Well, at least you're on my side with that. All right. I'll let you get into the Nuggets now. I'm sorry. I hijacked the beginning of the conversation.
Oh, trust me. Listen, I'm on your side with that because I think guys should be able to go deeper in the games. It's a whole thing with now how guys are being brought up with the velocity, all that good stuff. But whatever. All right. We're going to move into the Nuggets here with the Phillies. I got to start in baseball, of course. And the trade deadlines, starting to swirl around now. What could the Phillies add? Should the Phillies add? Do they want an arm? Do they want to get a big bat? A big bat apparently is what the Phillies are the most interested in right now, an outfield bat. I want to pump the brakes there a little bit, Josh. I'm pumping the brakes on going to go get a big bat for the outfield. We've heard the report from Jeff Passan, Robert being named, Tucker, other names being thrown out there too. I'm just not sold on changing up this outfield. First of all, do they really need a massive impact bat at this point in the season? I don't think so because of where they're at. They have the best record in baseball. Castellanos, not including today, but based upon yesterday, has hit in 6 out of his last 7 games. Okay? He has been coming around at the plate, been much better, has been, I guess, had a better approach at the plate. Best record in baseball. Pitching's going to matter in my estimation more. I would rather them go out and get a pitcher. And also, you're going to get a right-handed bat back in the lineup in Trey Turner. You're adding that addition to your lineup when he comes back from injury. So these are all reasons I don't think they should give up all these prospects, their top guys, to go get a big bat right now because I don't think they need it at this point. I think adding another arm is huge. And you brought up a point earlier in the show, Josh, regarding the camaraderie in the clubhouse. If they went out and got a big bat to replace Castellanos or Marsh or someone along those lines, how would that mesh? How would that mesh in the lineup? How would that mesh in the locker room? I think that's another point. I don't think they need to go out and get a massive name to add to the lineup. I just don't. I think their lineup's good enough. And I think their pitching's good enough right now. Why do you think they didn't do it in the offseason? They kept the same exact team except for Craig Kimbrell, So that's where I'm with the Phillies. They don't need a massive impact outfielder at this point.
So I'm with you that they don't need a massive guy, but they do need another guy for this reason. What you saw last night, Dave Dahl being yanked in probably the worst move Rob Thompson has ever done in his Phillies managerial career. And they didn't go to Merrifield because Merrifield hasn't been playing well. They didn't go to Weston Wilson because I guess they don't trust him in the outfield at this point defensively. So they brought in Christian Pache. That's the problem, Nick. They need another dude not named Christian Pache if they're going to do this, bringing a guy in the later innings. So, like, for example, if and I'm just throwing a name out there, if a Matt Vierling was available and you wanted to bring him back, I'm all for it. A guy who and who knows coming in, I'm not playing every day, but I'm getting time. I'm getting playing time. But I'm not going to start every day because you do have Marsh and you do have other guys. Like, if you could convince the Tigers to take Merrifield and a prospect and get Vierling, I'm totally for that deal. But the problem with guys like Luis Roberts Jr. and Randy Arozarena, as you know, Nick, as well as anyone, these are everyday players. How are you going to tell an everyday player, hey, man, you're not playing every day? Like, that doesn't jive. Right. Like, you can't tell. Now, if those guys come in understanding, hey, this is a platoon situation, maybe. But at the same time, you mentioned it. You can't ask a high-impact player when you've played Nick Castellanos every single day this year. Oh, by the way, Luis Roberts, who was also an all-star last year, Castellanos plays every day. You're not playing every day. Because then you get in that whole guys start begrudging each other. The locker room gets weird. I don't know what Roberts Jr. relationship with guys in his own locker room. I mean, I think Randy Arozarena is a nice guy, but I mean, I don't know him personally. I don't know how he would fit in this locker room. So to me, if you're going to bring in somebody who's a right-handed bat, it's got to be somebody who fits, not who just gets at bats.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you there because they can't give up. I think that's my thing. Like, you don't want to go out and get a starter. If they can get a nice bench piece, a guy who can, I guess, be a platoon type player. I mean, you don't really need him to platoon, but a guy who could come off the bench, start some games in the outfield throughout the dog days of August and into September, and then he's a bat you can have in the postseason come up and get a big base hit. I'm all for that. That I'm for. I'm just not for these big names, the Kyle Tuckers of the world, the Roberts. Like,
I'm totally out on Tucker because he's a left-handed hitter.
Yeah.
I don't need any more lefties on this team.
No, this team, one thing this team does not need is a left-handed bat. They got plenty of them. They need a righty, to say the least. They have plenty of lefties. That's fine. We know that. But even a Rosarena is another guy who's kind of struggled this year. I don't know if I want to go after him too. Maybe a change of scenery helps him out. But I think they're fine. If they add an additional bench piece, a guy who's a platoon type of player anyway, a Vierling's a nice name to bring back. I'm cool with that. I would rather them use their assets on another arm out of the bullpen. Maybe if you want to add another starter in there as well. Who knows? I think pitching is what this team needs heading into the postseason. Their bats are fine. The bats go cold. The bats go cold. I mean, at this point, they have a fantastic lineup. We saw what happened last year in the NLCS. The bats went cold. I mean, if that's how you're going to lose, so be it. I can live with that. But I just don't think they need to use these assets to go out and get a big right-handed bat at this point. It's just not in the cards for me.
Now, I got a nugget for you because I just thought
a nugget for me.
Okay. So, because you mentioned about trading assets, right?
Yeah.
In recent years, they've traded away Nick Pivetta, right? They've traded away Ben Brown, who's now on the Cubs. Ben Lively was here for a hot minute, right? You had guys like Zach Eflin used to be here. There's a lot of guys around baseball. Spencer Howard now with the Giants. There's a lot of guys that were assets who were used in trades. Spencer Howard for Ian Kennedy, Ben Brown for Dave Robertson. I forget who they got in the Pivetta deal from the Red Sox exactly, or maybe that was a free agent move. But still, these are former Phillies guys who are doing pretty well elsewhere. Is there any concern from Nick Earnshaw that they'll trade the wrong guy if they make a deal? Because who's one of the top prospects who's not pitching well the last 2 years? Mick
Mick
Abel.
Abel. Yep.
Right?
Mick Abel.
So, but what do people do? Let's trade Griff McGarry. It's like, hold on. Ben Brown was like a 25th prospect in this organization. He's looking pretty good for the Cubs. And the only reason why he didn't finish that no-hitter he had the other night was because he won the pitch count. So it's like, I don't want to trade Griff McGarry because he might be the next Ben Brown.
Right. And they moved Logan O'Hoppe too to the Angels a couple years ago. Yep. So, I mean, that's a catcher. Yeah, that's a catcher that they could have had behind JT Realmuto, who absolutely was fantastic last night, by the way, deservingly getting a day off today. For me, it's not like the pitching. I can live with them trading a Mick Abel or a Griff McGarry, right? I can't live with them trading a Miller, a Crawford, those type of guys they spent high draft picks on that are developing nicely in the farm system right now. Those are the guys I don't want them to really move at this stage right now. Now, I know you're going for it. I know you're going for it this year, but they have a fantastic lineup, to say the least. The guys are in their 30s. Remember this. You have to also keep an eye on the future as well and look towards the next couple of years too, because these guys are starting to get into their 30s. They have a couple years left. I'm cool with moving a Mick Abel, a Griff McGarry, but when it comes to the Crawfords, the Millers, like these are the guys that you want to keep in your farm system and develop to have as the next gen. That's just where I'm at with there. You don't want to spend a big amount of your top prospects on just a rental this year. That's just where I'm at.
By the way, Nick Pivetta was traded with Connor Siebold to the Red Sox in 2020 for Heath Hembree and Brandon Workman, back when the Phillies bullpen was the trashiest bullpen in baseball. So, and for those who are, the reason why I bring up Pivetta as well, because I was watching that, I think he had like 8 strikeouts in a row. And one of his starts.
He's been fine for Boston. He's been okay. I wasn't a big fan of him here. I didn't like his toot either. I wasn't a big fan of Nick Pivetta's toot. He every time after a game, he'd give you a little attitude during his media availability. He can live in Boston. That's fine. That wouldn't bother me.
One of my flaws is I like guys with more strikeouts than innings pitched. And almost every year of Pivetta's career, that's what he has. And to me, when you have more strikeouts than innings pitched, that means you're getting swings and misses. When you're getting swings and misses, I'm more comfortable with you than the dude who's depending on the fly balls to get outs in the game.
Now, who would you rather have as your 5th starter then right now? Would you rather have Nick Pivetta or Taijuan Walker?
Oh, Pivetta, 100%. Because, like I said, Taijuan Walker depends on non-strikeouts for outs. Pivetta, look, he may only have, what does he have this year? A 4.08 ERA. It's certainly not any worse than Walker. You know, he has a 1.047 whip.
Ooh.
Does Pivetta? Come on.
That's solid. Listen, he's been fine. He's been an okay pitcher for Boston. I'm not too worried about them losing him. He's fine. But like a Mick Abel, like you mentioned, like bringing it back to the point of, the farm system, right? Yeah. Trading your younger guys. Mick Abel struggled recently. Like, do you move? Andrew Painter's a very relative unknown now because of the injury and what happened. Now he's missing a lot of time. He's a guy I don't know if you want to move on from just yet because of what the potential is there. So I just don't think they need to go out and spend to get a huge bat because I think they'll be fine. Castellanos will come around. They can just add an additional right-handed bat off of the bench, maybe platoon, play some left field here and there. I'm cool with that. A Veerling sounds like a good idea to me.
All right, let's take a quick time out. Nick Earnshaw will join me more. Come one Nuggets. I interrupt his Nuggets segment, but we'll let him get back on track. Coming up next, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM and a 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
3, 2, 1.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
It's the 3rd month of Matt Blatt Kia's 2 for $222. And this is the final month. 2 new Kias for $222. Brand new 2024 Kia Forte. Just $111 per month lease. With 0 security deposit. And just $39.95 due at signing. With a price like that, why not get 2 for $222? Have a job clearing $450 per week? We want to approve you today. With 0 down. And pay just 1.9% for 48 months on every clearly marked new Kia Sportage in stock. Or drive home 2 Kia Fortes for $222.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, 24 Sportage, $21.65 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblackkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Through KNF, 24 months, 111 per month, 10,000 miles per year. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Matt Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
That's the sound of steak searing in its juices on your new pellet grill. You heard that right. The Weber Searwood Pellet Grill can smoke low and slow at 180 degrees all the way to a high heat sear at 600. With the Weber Searwood, you can cook on the direct flame over the full grate sear zone. You'll hear the gasp of amazement from friends and family when you serve the food. Cooking with the Weber Searwood Pellet Grill just sounds delicious and tastes even better.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group. Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-761-0000. 800-761-0000.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
You go into your shower feeling, but as soon as you reach for the Irish Spring, your day immediately gets better. That crisp, fresh, unmistakable Irish Spring scent zings your brain and awakens your senses. So when you finally emerge from the shower, 37 minutes later, because you pay the water bill so you can stay in there as long as you want, you're ready to take on the day and smell great doing it. Irish Spring Body Wash and Bar Soap. Fresh, green, Irish. Shop now at Walmart.
With Memorial Day savings at the Home Depot, you can upgrade your home with up to $2,400 off select kitchen packages from top brands like Maytag. Enhance your kitchen with the exclusive Maytag French door refrigerator and fingerprint-resistant stainless steel, only at the Home Depot. And with dual power filtration on the Maytag Tall Tub dishwasher, you can skip soaking and scrubbing. Right now, get Memorial Day savings up to $2,400 off select kitchen packages at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid May 16th through June 5th. U.S. only. See store or online for details.
The seafood extraordinary, the value tremendous, the sunsets on the house. It's Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant. Dine indoors or on the deck overlooking the bay. The Phillies are always on at Yuri's. Watch the game and enjoy daily food and drink specials, including all-you-can-eat crab backed by popular demand. Yuri's is perfect for families with a kids menu and arcade. Next door to Yuri's is the Boathouse Restaurant. Two great ways to experience the Jersey Shore's best waterfront dining. Yuri's and the Boathouse at the foot of the bridge in Wildwood.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Knicks Nuggets here on 97.3 ESPN, being brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I interrupted the Nuggets. I threw a curveball at Nick, but he's back for another segment here to wrap up his pack of Nuggets here on 97.3.
What's going on, Josh? Listen, I had we added what's it called?
Really,
I guess a spicy
mic. Did you really mute your mic thinking I wouldn't turn your mic down?
I did. I had it down for a second just in case. You never know. We're always checking. As producers, that's how we're used to it.
Trust me. That's what that says.
So no, but when you throw a spicy nugget in there, so I'll add another nugget in there as well. Hassan Reddick. So I don't know if you've seen this. He's not showing up to camp, Josh. He's not showing up at all. He's got a $14.5 million contract, final year of his deal that he signed with the Eagles just a couple of years back. He's had no contact with head coach Robert Saleh, and Saleh has no idea why he isn't around or hasn't heard from him. Josh, this is crazy. He got traded. He got kind of what he wanted, but he's not showing up to camp.
I brought this up to Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media yesterday that Howie Roseman's got to be smiling right now because, Howie dumped this guy on the Joe Douglas, right? The football guy, Joe Douglas, and Robert Saleh with the Jets, and they won't give him a contract. He hasn't showed up to camp. Not looking good. Right now for that guy, Meanwhile, the Eagles got everyone in camp.
Yeah. Hey, everyone showed up. Even James Bradbury, who, is playing safety now, and then he got hurt again yesterday. Very interesting stuff.
Backpedaling.
Yeah. Backpedaling. Yeah, he's not going to be an Eagle much longer. No way going to have. But yeah, it's interesting stuff with Hassan Reddick. Final nugget I'll run through real quick. Embiid's contract. So Embiid can sign a new contract coming up, a 3-year extension, but he still has 2 years at a player option, Josh, coming up. So he's got 2 more years. He's 30 years old, but will be 31 in March. Do you think the Sixers should sign him to a longer-term deal, 3 years, when they're available to?
That's a good
At his
question.
age? Ugh.
I mean, this is a conversation that deserves more than a couple minutes, honestly.
Yeah. Why don't I bring this nugget back tomorrow?
Yeah, bring it back tomorrow. But I will say for today, and then we can revisit it tomorrow. Right. One of the things with Embiid is that can you get away with, like, how many more years is he Joel Embiid?
Right.
That's the question. So is it for 2 more years? Is it 4 more years? You got to give him a contract based on that. I think that's the problem with this. And to me, Nick, I don't know about you, but if you're trying to maximize Embiid's prime, you're also at the same time understanding his prime isn't much longer.
Right. And he's going to be 31 next March. So he's going to be pretty much 30 for the rest of the year next year. So he's under contract for 24, 25, 25, 26. And then he has a player option for 26 and 27. You'd sign him for 3 more years after that. That's something I have to. I wouldn't do it right now. No way would I give him a 3-year extension after that into his age 35 season. I just can't do it with a guy who's 7 feet tall right now. Can't give him a full deal right now, Josh. Can't do it.
Really quick, if he comes into training camp lighter than last year, do you feel a little better?
I feel a little bit better. I'm still not giving him the contract. That's just where I'm at with it. And also, tell Dave Klemic I said what's up on the other side.
I will. Dave Klemic joining us coming up. But that was Nick's Nuggets. Nick Earnshaw is back with more Embiid talk and Nuggets tomorrow here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Nick, appreciate it.
Josh, talk to you tomorrow, man.
Absolutely. Coming up next, as promised, Dave Klemic, former NFL wide receiver of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mainland Regional High School graduate. What is the difference for a player between mini camp and training camp? We'll get Dave's perspective on that, plus the Eagles so far at mini camp, the latest with Dave Klemic coming up next. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on a Hump Day Wednesday on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schwein. Tune into The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in The Locker Room with me, Billy Schwein, on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with a Schweiner.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free, with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
The Home Depot has Memorial Day savings up to $500 off select laundry appliances from top brands like Samsung. Wash and dry in one cycle with the Samsung Ultra Capacity All-in-One Washer Dryer Combo from the Home Depot. Then enjoy your summer while your laundry takes care of itself. Right now, get Memorial Day savings up to $500 off select laundry appliances at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Pricing valid May 16th through June 5th. U.S. only. See store online for details.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs. Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Are you ready for your next adventure? As of yesterday, today, tomorrow, and years to come, Hitch RV is here to stay. As a family-owned and operated business since 2008, we understand the importance of family trips and hitting the open road in comfort and style. Experience no-pressure shopping with our unbeatable deals on a wide range of RVs. Shop all the top RV brands and come find your perfect RV today at Hitch RV. Visit us online at hitchrv.com. Discover the open road with Hitch RV.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with 3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
5 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, which is free. Thanks to First Bank of Sea City. Wherever you're catching the show, we appreciate you joining us in the final hour of the broadcast. We'll get back to the text board a little bit later this hour as well. What a busy show it's been. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle and streaming live at 97.3 ESPN on the X platform. As promised, joining us to get into, because I want to get a better perspective on what the Eagles are going through right now, because we're seeing a lot of different storylines at minicamp. We're seeing a lot of different storylines with the Eagles in general. Even Brandon Graham said earlier today, hey, the biggest difference from last year this year is we got new coaches who are putting guys in better positions to be successful. Well, someone who knows what all of that really means. Dave Klemic played for the Kansas City Chiefs, Mainland Regional High School graduate. And of course, he is the proprietor of Klemic Performance Method here in South Jersey, joining me right now on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Dave, my friend, welcome in. How you doing today?
What's up, brother?
You had a double dose of me.
Everyone's giving me a look right now for that.
I know you're getting the full breath of me. For those who don't know, Dave and I work out every week, so I know you're going to kill me tonight with the workout.
Well, I was just going to say, I was like, you guys at home, if you don't know, me and Josh get after it on Wednesday nights. That's our night. We work out like animals, and then the neatest thing, Josh, is how we work out when we do a football game. Like punts are worth like 10 squats. Interceptions are worth like 100 push-ups or whatever. We do this for the whole game till we're just laying on the ground dead. But me and Josh are productive together for sure. But yeah, let me answer you on some of those mini camp things.
Yeah, so let's start with the initial big picture for a player. What is the difference, mini camp versus training camp?
All right, so mini camp is normally like install. So you're understanding a playbook, right? And there's a ton of playbook where you're just learning schemes and learning how you do your motions and what calls you're using, letting the quarterbacks create timing with your receivers. That's the main thing of it. The linemen, they don't go that hard. They take it they go pretty easy. It's almost like time for 7-on-7s, and you'll see them more like in the weight room and eating a lot. And well, they install a lot too, but they eat a lot during camp. But they do their work and everything. But you'll see this is where you create relationships and timing, and it's a huge deal because it has to be created. And it's a learned response. We talk about some sports science stuff. This timing and everything is a learned response. So the more repetition you get going at the speeds that you actually run routes at, the quarterback knows where to loft the ball, where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there. So that's a huge thing. And Jalen is just Jalen and his receivers are trying to create that right now, that gel right now.
All right, so you mentioned about the install. New coordinator, Kellen Moore. This is the third different coordinator, the third different play caller in Jalen Hurts' ear in the last 3 years, Dave. So what is happening at minicamp right now? What does that install involve?
So you have different, all right, so your playbook, it starts off pretty small. And let's understand that you're going to add a chapter in and a chapter out. You're going to add chapters to this throughout the season. It's going to get really big. It's going to look like the Bible at the end of the season. But for now, they're just understanding how to run basic plays without any of the motion or anything like that, right? Let's get the calls right. Let's get everything. There's all these numbers that you have to know, the routes that you use, and they're going to change them based on every coordinator. So for 3 years in a row, you're not using the same number system. You're not using the same letter system. And there's a lot of coding and faking because other people can read your lips. They do all kind of things if that other team isn't doing those things, I know the Patriots got a bad name for cheating on that stuff, but that happens with every single team. You're always trying to find trends in what they're doing and what other teams are doing. So you're trying to beat the trend and hide it somehow. And, hopefully you not trade any of those receivers somewhere. They're going to tell the other teams that you're playing against what you're doing. So it changes like every year. So install is going to always happen no matter what, even from year to year. They're going to keep switching numbers and names of things so that no one picks up that trend that year. So lots of timing, lots of understanding of just language. People don't understand how really crazy a playbook is and how smart you really have to be. Like you can't look at this thing and just go, I'll get this this week. No, you're not. It's understanding, and not just understanding the playbook, but also understanding it in motion. If you're running a route or you're about to line up in the line of scrimmage and you'll see there's a blitzer from the linebackers blitzing, your route changes. It changes completely. And these things have to be done and installed over time. It takes a while. So you got to be trusted. So they have written testing. You're gonna see these guys go through written testing and make sure they know, every week that they got at least what was in this week's install, and then they go to the next one and the next one. They don't let it accumulate, and they literally will keep you after practice. And you have a tutor. Basically, every player has a quality control guy, right? So you almost have a personal coach, and if he sees you're doing something messed up, he's going to come over and tell you what to do and kind of how to fix you. You're going to stay after practice until you get it as right as the veterans get it. So it's a fun time, but not a lot of pressure right now because no cuts are being made. So you're just trying to learn and how to be a better football player right now. And then it gets a little testy, and you get a little scared during training camp because training camp they're making cuts. So then it gets a little. Then the pressure's on you. You know what I mean? For now, you're just out there really trying to have fun and become the best prepared football player you can be for training camp.
Talking with former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Klemic here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. You just mentioned about knowing the playbook. And speaking of the Chiefs, I was listening to Travis Kelce on his podcast talk about how he said, there are moments, he says, that he forgets where he's supposed to go on a play, and Mahomes has to improvise on plays until his guy, in this case Kelce, might be the hot route, gets on track. So talk about how things can go wrong if you don't get these installs right. Because Travis says, hey, I got the best quarterback in the league. He can improvise. He can get me into position. Whereas if you don't have the timing right, if you don't have things right, and you don't have the best quarterback in the league, how, no offense to Jalen Hurts, he's not Patrick Mahomes. If his receivers are not hitting their points correctly, how problematic that is.
Yeah, so it's extremely bad. I listened to Peyton Manning and him talking about pre-snap motion, and he hated pre-snap motion. He hated anything that changed or was different because he wanted to know exactly where his guys were, how to make these adjustments, and that's, you're talking about probably the second best quarterback of all time in Peyton Manning, and how after all the years that he's played football, like he likes everything to be nice and tight and tidy and no motion. He doesn't like motions. This that. You're asking a team to do everything that Peyton Manning ever did, and then do it with motion and shifting, because a lot of the offense is doing that. I criticize the Eagles publicly a lot for not shifting and motioning, but maybe it's because they're keeping it simple for him because they've had a new coordinator 3 years in a row. You know what I mean? And that could be the reason why they don't use pre-snap motion. I did this entire study on successful offenses in the NFL and who uses the most pre-snap motion. So like the Chiefs and the Miami Dolphins use the most pre-snap motion. They are the most productive offenses in the NFL. So, and then the Eagles were way down. They were like number 12, but they used 30th in the amount of pre-snap motion. And and those are the things that you need to work on now, so that when you do send a guy in motion and throw things all into a crazy frenzy, he's kind of prepared and he knows what to do, what the defense is going to do to react to those type of movements. It's crazy, man. It is. I'll tell you what. Like I was more impressed when I would see somebody really have a good understanding of the playbook than if they could recite some kind of like I don't know, some kind of a whole play. It's insane because not only does it remember exactly the words or exactly the play, but also how to adjust. It's really nuts. So people, if you see them, you're like, football players are dummies. No, they're not. No, they're not. They are very smart, and it's really, they have to do it with all that pressure on them. I was so impressed. With people that got that playbook down pretty quickly. And I was not one of the guys that could get it very quickly. I had to stay after with Charlie Joyner and get a lot of help because I could not get it, or I could get it, but when we made the adjustments, it was really hard. So it's impressive, and to see people that can do it well. And a quarterback is the hardest spot on the field. And then to do it while you're changing coordinators every day, that's hard. That's really hard. So you have a hard job, and it makes it even 1,000 times harder. Amplify that by 1,000,000 times when you're in Philadelphia. Philadelphia, you give you about 1 year. If you do bad, you go to Super Bowl 1 year. They'll kick you out if you, they'll kick you out and want you gone if you didn't make it there next year. We're brutal here.
You just mentioned Charlie Joyner, Chargers legend, Charlie Joyner.
Yeah, that was my receivers coach. That best receiver. He said he never dropped the ball, so I keep trying to look at film where that he dropped the ball somewhere. That's his claim. He never dropped the ball. Anybody can find that for me, please do, and I'll let him know that we found one.
You might have to go back to his Oiler days maybe to find that footage. So
yeah, we he played at Grambling, where and he was one of those guys that his coach was the all-time winningest coach in football history. I can't think of his name right now. Josh, you know it, but he said he's the one guy that said never let me learn that I can win without you. So that means he never came off the field. So don't come off the field and find out somebody can win without you. Hey, this is like the NFL, man. Anytime they can get rid of you for somebody younger and cheaper and less miles on them, yeah, they're gonna get you out of there so they can get you for a lower price. But yeah, I mean, training camp is wild. You have, OTAs, which if anybody knows what OTAs are, organized team activities.
Right. That's
just like a lot of people don't know that. So they're not really with your coaches as much. You're with the quality control guys, and you're just doing you're doing some indie and you're doing which is like individual. You're doing one-on-ones.
Right.
You're just you're trying to get your feet under you again, not get banged up, not get too hurt. You're training a lot. You're getting yourself back in shape, and being with each other and learning timing and keeping everybody sharp. But it's a job, man. You'll get to training camp and you punch in. You're there all day long. You got your book with you. You get your water with you. Your supplements are giving you all the time, and then you leave at 5 o'clock, just like a regular job. You punch in, you punch out, and they feed you while you're there. But it's a job. It's a job, and I didn't want to. I never wanted to feel like it was a job. So what I used to do in the middle of the day was I would go somewhere and lay down for like 10 minutes and just go, you can't lay down at a job. And I would go lay down on the field somewhere, just like kick my feet up and go, this isn't a job. I'm still having fun. This is still football. I'm having fun, right? And I was talking to one of my teammates, Larry Parker, a USC guy, 4th round pick from USC. And we were talking about that. He was like, if you want to be great, you got to embrace the mundane. Right? And the mundane is like where you're at OTAs. This is mini camp. You're going to be just all day football. You've never experienced an all day football. It's like, it's like all day radio for you. You're like, yeah, it's exciting. But when you do it all day, you got to embrace the mundane, the things that are kind of like boring, and you guys do it over and over and over. Right? So this is where players come up with their own internal economy of fun. Right? So what we did for fun was dunk on each other, right? we would find a way your guy wasn't paying attention, and you pretended like you dunked on him, and we would call that the Lincoln game. And if you got dunked on, you owed $5. So, and that person that had the Lincoln on him had to go dunk on somebody else, and then he owed $5. And it keeps going down the line all day long, and then everybody's putting money in this bank at the end of the OTAs or mini camps. You're all going out to you go out to dinner. There's tens of thousands of dollars in that account, by the way, at the end of a training camp or a mini camp. So yeah, I'm getting inside the lines a little bit right here.
No, but that's good though, because this is information people don't know. That's half the reason why I wanted you to come on, Dave. Dave Klemic, former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver. By the way, the Grambling State head coach was Eddie Robinson.
Eddie Robinson. Why can't I remember? I'm sorry, Eddie. But yeah, that's
I don't know if Eddie's even with us anymore, honestly. So
somebody Google that real quick so we don't sound stupid. But anyway, that was Charlie, who looks exactly like Lou Gossett Jr. Lou Gossett Jr. just passed away, and that's what we used to call Charlie Jr. So it was Iron Eagle or whatever, what I mean? But he's Charlie's a dear friend of mine. I have you've been in my barn where we work out, and I have a couple jerseys on my wall. Myself, Dante Hall, Charlie Joyner, Austin Johnson. Those are my jerseys on the wall.
All right, so
Austin Johnson's a local guy.
So I want to keep you forever, because you and I could talk for 1,000 years. So over at the Klemic Performance Method, okay, you guys do a lot of sports science, and this is the first mandatory minicamp the Eagles have done since 2019, Dave. And now though, back in the day when you were in the NFL, training camp, minicamps, these were like multiple day affairs, long day affairs. Now they're keeping this to 60, 70-minute practices. I mean, this is, maybe a third or a fourth of what guys used to do. So what does the science say about why the Eagles are only practicing these 60 to 70-minute sessions?
Well, I'm going to answer that question with another question. All right. And that is, what do you think is more important, quantity or quality?
Quality.
Correct. And they say, what they do is they really script out the practice so that you get a ton of high quality repetition. In the past, remember, there's what we call junk volume in the NFL. Junk volume is not good for practice. It's just you moving around for the sake of moving around. And over the years, I've seen a complete paradigm shift of coaches being the trainers and coaches being the doctors, until the doctors and trainers running the practice more than the coaches do. They say they're not going to run the practice, but they tell you what structure, within what hours, within what times you can do things, and how much you can do it. Now everybody has a tracker on their shoulder pads. If you overrun If you do too much, they shut you down. If you do too many reps, if you're too hot, they'll shut you down so that you're productive over time and you're not getting beat up, right? And this is smart. And I love the sports science side. This is what I do for a living. I'm the owner of Klemic Performance Method and analytics, because we go into analytics a ton in sports science. And this is one of the things that you are seeing a much more productive athlete when you don't grind him into the ground. He becomes a cross-country runner by the time football season gets around. You'll see guys that came in at 190. They'll get to the first game at 172. They're much less productive, much more susceptible to injury, and you just wore them out. So now the way that practices are being structured in short periods, and they're just saying, look, you guys are going to have to find a way to have high quality repetition instead of junk volume. And that's kind of what you do. You just run a couple routes, you run too many. Oh, now your hamstring's starting to hurt because you just ran way too many routes. The ones that you do well, they should almost mimic how many routes you're going to run in a game. You know what I mean? That's about it. They don't want to do much more than that, because then you're just creating, again, a sub-maximal speed of a run at sub-maximal technique in a route. And then you start to kind of live on what you kind of become what you've done most. And if what of most you've done is junk volume, then you're going to run junk routes. So we want to be crisp and sharp and quality reps, and then boom, get out of there.
All right. So with that being said, okay, obviously part of practice is maximizing your time. So from your experience, Dave, what is typically the best way to maximize time in a mini camp or training camp practice?
So everything is like preset. So when you go from one drill to the next, everything's already set up for you. Like you're going to go, because they have a short period of time. So like now they have these things called like QBTs, and they have quality control guys. The practice squad is way bigger than it used to be. When I was playing, there was 4 in the practice squad. Now you have 40. I don't know. It's a huge. Everybody's they sign everybody, they keep everybody. You know what I mean? They're on the practice squad, and they set these guys up like they're ready there. As soon as you get there, they have the defenses ready that they want to see in front of you. They have the looks that they want to see is preset. So they're not like you're getting over there now. Let's organize. They just got to be really good at organization. So they increase the size of the practice squad by a ton, and it helps speed up the practice a lot.
All right, Dave. Before I let you go, okay. Now, this is a bit of a subjective question, but I want you to be, kind of apply your perspective onto it. One of the conversations that's been going on the last 24 hours has been about Jalen Hurts' arms. The video is out there. I mean, he looks like Captain America compared to the other quarterbacks. I mean, him next to Kenny Pickett, Jalen looks like a superhero, and Pickett looks like he's auditioning for The Longest Yard, the movie. So, for you in the sports science, do you have concern about how jacked up physically Jalen Hurts is as a quarterback?
I rarely have seen a guy that is that muscular to be a great fluid thrower, but there's a first for everything. And he is very strong. Now I saw a picture of him. One of our girls that we coach, for Brielle Von Collin would just return a punt for a touchdown in this flag football game. And they went over to, and I'm glad you said that. And Jalen Hurts came over to congratulate her because it was at the MetLife, the practice field. And he comes over and says something to her about like, congratulations. That he looked, I was like, what did he do? Just lift weights the entire off season? Like, is he doing a bodybuilding? Like, I don't think it's necessary for what most important is what's between the ears with the quarterback. But man, he's an impressive athlete. You know what I mean? And I don't find it like I'm not concerned unless it hurts the fluidity of his throwing motion. You know what I mean? He wants to stand in there and deliver the ball. I could tell he's physically upset when he has to run. He wants to throw. He wants to deliver the ball. But when he has to run, when he does run, you could see him like he kind of puts his head down on the way back. Like, man, I want to deliver that ball. Tom Brady had a noodle-looking arm, but he could rip it. Some of the best quarterbacks you ever seen don't have big. They're not very, very big, but he has to be built for a little bit of a fight. He's got some new linemen coming in that may not block as good as his old veterans, and and he's probably got to be built for some durability. Now he's going to lose weight. Trust me, during training camp, you lose a ton of weight. So you almost want to come in as bulky as you can, and then you'll cut down over time because he's not going to have time to hit weights real heavy. So they say a lot of people lift the weights really in the off season, not for performance, but for armor. Because what's the old saying, Josh? Your best ability is
your availability.
So if you are in the tub, you can't make the club. And if you're hurt all the time because you're getting banged up, you know, the weight room, we do use that for durability. And he will lose a lot of that weight during training camp. So I wouldn't be too worried about him being a bodybuilder.
He's Dave Klemic. Klemic Performance Method is the compound he's got down here where he trains athletes, former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver, Mainland Regional High School graduate. We'll throw that out there as well. Dave, before I let you go, tell folks a little more about Klemic Performance Method.
Yeah, thanks for the plug, brother. So Klemic Performance Method is a place where we analyze gaits and analyze how athletic an athlete is by measuring their effective range. Basically, how fast you can run, how high you can jump, how much ground you can cover and displace yourself. And then once we get those numbers and those biomechanics, we can increase them by like 20, 22, 24%. Real simply, if you come here, we're putting 2.5 miles per hour on you at max velocity. You're putting 6 to 8 inches on your vertical leap. And where you reach top speed, like let's say you reach 20 miles per hour, but it takes you 38 yards to run to get there. We'll get you there in like about half of that. So you get to 20 miles per hour in like 16, 17 yards. That's how significant it is. So thanks for the plug. I'll selfishly take that.
Well, I'll see you later tonight. I'm sure maybe.
Tonight, homie.
I mean, maybe you'll let me take one less rep off or something tonight. So.
No, sir. I'm all jacked up on caffeine. I'm caffeinated, activated, ready to go.
Dave Klemic. I'll talk to you later, brother.
All right, bro. Bye-bye.
Josh Hennig here on the Sports Bash, filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. A ton of great stuff there from Dave Klemic. Just so much going on right now. So let me just hit a couple of points before we hit the break. First of all, he mentioned about how important the install is, right? How, mini camp is where the install for the offense starts. So one of the reasons why it's so important for everyone to be at training camp, a mini camp, is because this is the first point in time the coordinators are getting the receivers and the quarterback and the O-lineman and everybody together to run the offense. So that is the first part that's very important. Remember, new offense coordinator, Kellen Moore, likes to run motion. Kellen Moore, very different type of offensive background than a Brian Johnson. Kellen Moore was an elite college quarterback. Brian Johnson was a winning college quarterback. The difference, though, is that Kellen Moore came from like an Air Coryell background as a quarterback in college, whereas Brian Johnson ran more of like the RPO kind of offense in college at Utah. Kellen Moore at Boise State. So you have two quarterbacks with very different literal backgrounds as quarterbacks. Then, as they become coaches, what was Brian Johnson's experience? Air raid, spread offenses. What was Kellen Moore's experience as a coach? Dealing with, guys who had experience in the, as I mentioned, Air Coryell, guys who have experience in the pro style, West Coast style offenses, and a little bit of that Mike Martz greatest show on turf style offenses. So you have a guy in Moore who's bringing some completely different concepts, completely different ideas to Philadelphia. And that's why it's important to have guys for the install in minicamp. The other thing Dave Klemic talked about there a little bit was how, these practices are not really run by the coaches anymore. It's run by the nutritionists, the physicians, the scientists, the people who are not just the pure football coaches. So there's no more Bill Parcells back in the day running two-a-days. It's efficiency. It's Let's be the most productive we could possibly be in this game, in this offense, in this practice. And so, yeah, you're going to see some guys not practicing. You are going to see guys like James Bradbury on the sideline, guys like Trevor Keegan, the rookie from Michigan, on the sideline, because if you're in any way banged up, if you're any way not healthy, you could impede the productivity of the practice. They want everyone out there who can practice. So Mekhi Becton getting lots of reps. Keely Ringo at defensive back getting lots of reps. Reed Blankenship getting lots of reps at safety. Devon White, Zach Bowen getting lots of reps at linebacker. These guys are getting a plethora of reps because they want to get more quality out of the practice and less quantity. So great stuff from Dave Klemic there. Appreciate him jumping on. I'm sure he's going to try to destroy me tonight when we work out, but I'll survive because I always survive. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN FM. We're getting back to text board coming up next. Your guys' thoughts on Eagles mini camp. The latest from camp has been a lot of guys getting reps, some guys we didn't expect to be getting some of these reps. Plus, Phillies are in action throughout the day today. They first pitched about an hour and a half ago, and right now we got a Phillies game, which I got to admit, I'm a little surprised that it's only 2-0 Phillies because of the fact that I felt like they had multiple opportunities to score some more runs, but the aforementioned Nick Castellanos with a home run in this game. Another very good outing for Aaron Nola. Not perfect, but a very good outing for Aaron Nola, getting the job done, taking care of business out there. But Nick Castellanos giving the Phillies the lead 2-0 with his home run in the 5th inning. We asked the question earlier in the day, Nick Castellanos, he's starting to come around. Are we getting more patient with him? Are we going to let this play out? All that and more coming up. Josh Hennig hanging out with you, filling for Mike Gill on a Hump Day Wednesday edition of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day. Veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend, made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend, plus receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
A slow network is no network for business. That's why more choose Comcast Business. And now we're introducing Ultimate Speed for Business, our fastest plans yet. We're up to 12 times faster than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And existing customers could even get up to triple the speeds at no additional cost. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability and advanced cybersecurity. It's Ultimate Speed from Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Don't miss out on our fastest speed plans yet.
Get started with internet for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year contract. Plus, ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call 1-800-501-6000 or go online to switch today. And 62324 restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabits per second internet. Equal bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Compares Comcast Business 1.25 gig to 100 megabits per second of Verizon 5G Business, AT&T Wireless Broadband, and T-Mobile for Business. Up to 3 times downloads for current, essential, and standard customers.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're looking for the most epic place on earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
The conversation around the Phillies continues. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN. Question of the day. The outfield has been an interesting topic of discussion for the Phillies in recent days and weeks, but Nick Castellanos has been coming along much better on the offensive side of things. Brandon Marsh did go down with an injury, and Johan Rojas continues to improve. But the rumors keep swirling about the Phillies being interested in an outfield bat. So that got us thinking, should the Phillies target an outfield bat over a bullpen arm at the trade deadline? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973. That's 609-403-0973, or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. In my estimation, I think they have to go bullpen arm over a bat because the offense will be just fine. Can't have more than enough pitching. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Borgata's Dash for Cash giveaway is here. This May and June, you could win a share of $1.3 million in prizes, including 2 new Cadillac Lyric SUVs or one of 4 new Voyager golf carts. Play to earn entries for 2 grand prize drawings held Saturday, May 25th and June 29th. The Dash for Cash giveaway, only at Borgata Hotel, Casino, and Spa. For details, visit theborgata.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Good afternoon. With your South Jersey weather forecast, I'm Joe Kelly. We're dealing with some unstable air around us. That'll be the case for the next 24 hours or so. Some scattered showers or thunderstorms possible the rest of the day and on into the evening tonight. Tonight's low about 69. And tomorrow, scattered showers and thunderstorms possible again, especially in the afternoon tomorrow, with a high of 81. The good news for the weekend is looking pretty nice. Sunshine Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Highs each day around 80. That's your South Jersey weather. I'm Joe Kelly.
Here is an important safety message from the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety.
We all must do our part to keep our roadways safe. When driving, look out for pedestrians. Slow down and keep a 4-foot distance while passing. Let's look out for each other. Safety is a shared responsibility. Brought to you by the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic.
You come with me.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
On Hump Day Wednesday, 97.3 ESPN FM. 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. And you heard Nick Earnshaw question about Nick Castellanos. Well, Castellanos, as I told you for the break, 2-run home run in the 5th inning to give the Phillies the initial 2-0 lead. The bottom of the 6th is still 2-0 Phils. They are looking to sweep the National League Central leading Milwaukee Brewers. And I don't think it's a coincidence. I'll just say this before we get back to text board. Text coming in at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. I don't think it's a coincidence that since Hoskins hit that home run on Monday night, he's been an underwhelming story the rest of the series. Overall, he has not had a great series. And I think part of it is because of the fact that realistically, if we're just being upfront, I think the emotion of the return took a lot out of him. He had the big home run Monday night, but then he goes 1 for 4 in last night's game. And I think that was the moment he kind of started coming back down from the high, right? He started coming back down from the emotions and all that stuff, because now he's 0 for 2 today. So I think that it's fair to say that, Hoskins rode the wave, but so far he's run out of steam. It seems like since that home run, being 1 for 6 in his last 6 at bats. So Aaron Nola back on the mound for the 7th inning as the Phillies still lead 2-0 entering the 7th inning. Nola very efficient today. Not elite pitching, but 72 pitches in the 7th inning for today's brand of baseball is pretty darn good. So, it kind of makes you wonder that the Brewers are the best team in the National League Central, and the Phillies have a chance to sweep them. I mean, what does that say about the Phillies? What does it say about the Brewers? Reading into that what you will, we can have that conversation as well. Phillies right now, 43-19 on the verge of going 44-19 on the season before they head to London, as there's the Aaron Nola we know, giving up a random long base hit in the 7th inning. And this is why, to me at least, I think it's so important that Ranger Suarez has elevated his game, because Aaron Nola, he's just not an elite pitcher. He's not an ace. You go back to every team that's had a really good pitching staff who have won championships, and they usually have a guy who is very good, not great in the pitching staff. And I feel like that's who Nola is. Nola is not a Cy Young guy like Zach Wheeler. He's not a guy with elite stuff like Ranger Suarez, but he's a very good pitcher who, he kind of gives me like and I know some of you might be too young for some of these analogies, but he gives me like the Yankees of the late 90s, who had those teams that won the World Series. Those teams, their best pitchers were the guys like, well, in 96, their best pitcher was probably Jimmy Key. And they also had guys like David Cohn and David Wells, and later on Roger Clemens and Andy Pettit was their elite postseason pitcher. But they also had the Kenny Rogers, the guy who, he's not great every night, but every other night he's giving you a great outing. And I feel like that's who Nola is. Nola is the Kenny Rogers. Nola is the El Duque Hernandez, the guy who, he's not elite every game, but he's going to give you more really good games than not. It's the analogy of the Curt Schilling story, where Curt Schilling told John Kruk that, hey, if you have 30 starts in the year, you're only going to have 5 starts where you have your best stuff, and the other 25, you kind of got to figure it out. And I think Nola is going to figure it out more often than not, but you just got to wonder how many times through a batting lineup can this guy go before the other team starts kind of figuring him out. Like, he's 3-2 right now on Christian Yelich with Wilson Contreras on second base with no outs in the 7th inning. Like, this is the point in the game where if you're the Phillies, you got to wonder how much longer do you keep Nola in there, because he doesn't have his best stuff today, right? It's not like Nola is, as a pitcher, dominating this game. He has 57 strikes on 80 pitches. He has 5 strikeouts in 6 innings. And I told you guys, I'm a big believer in If you don't have as many, if not more, strikeouts than innings pitched, I'm concerned because that means you're depending on the hitters and the fielders to help you get outs. And that's always a problem. So, like, to me, you go back to the teams over the years that have won World Series. As I said, the 2004 Red Sox, yeah, they had Pedro Martinez, but they also had Derek Lowe and they had Tim Wakefield. They had the other guys who were good but not elite, kind of filling the void. For the Giants, San Francisco Giants teams, after Tim Lincecum, it was Matt Cain. After Madison Bumgarner, it was the lefty Lopez, right? So it was the idea that you do need a guy who can be good but not great each and every night. And that's part of the reason why you win a championship. And I think Nola, he's a great 3. I think that's what he is at this point. And I can live with that. All right. As promised, I get some of your texts at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how a texter chimed in, didn't leave their name, but they the question about the practices, they said, what about players who have non-contact injuries like Achilles tears, ACL tears? Can that be attributed to a lack of practices? Well, now I am not a sports science expert like Dave Klemic is, but I can speak as someone. So for those who don't know, me, Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. I am a National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer, certified nutritionist, and I have 2 other certifications, health and fitness as well. So from my knowledge of health and fitness with my 4 certification, which obviously is doing me a ton of good with all the money I spent on that because I'm sitting here talking sports talk radio right now with you guys, but I digress. So typically Achilles tears, ACL tears, those are not actually because non-contact injuries are not due to a lack of practice. I think that's more of an urban legend than anything else. The injuries to issues like Achilles tears and ACL tears usually are one of 2 issues. They are wear and tear injuries, or they are what was always taught to me as trauma injuries. So here's the difference real quick. Wear and tear injury means that you already have a lingering injury. You already have an injury that you sustained, that is a sprain, that is a twisted knee. Your knee buckled. You didn't tear the ACL or the MCL, but you definitely injured it and weakened that ligament. And when you weaken a part of your body, you're more susceptible to a worse injury if you do not properly care for the injury. So historically, some of these Achilles tears, some of these ACL and MCL and PCL tears are because those ligaments were already weakened. So what happens is that if you don't properly rehab those injuries, if you don't properly take care of that injury when it happens, over time, the weakened ligament will start to have these slight little tears in them. And over time, it's almost like if you put your fingers together, right? If you're driving, please don't do this while you're driving. You need both hands on the wheel, okay? I'm not trying to get anybody a car accident here, but if you're not driving, think about if you put your fingers together, right? And if your fingers are completely together, clasped together, then you slowly bring them apart. You have less security in the tightness of your hands being clasped together the further your fingers are apart, to a point where once your fingers are no longer together, right? There's a point where your fingers, they're no longer interlinked together, and your grip becomes less and less and less, to the point where the grip is completely gone. That's how the tears usually happen with the wear and tear, that over time, because the ligaments and the tendon or whatever the injury is did not have properly healed, did not properly fuse back together, the wear and tear creates a non-contact injury. The other type of non-contact injury is what we call a trauma injury, which is the athlete has such a severe impact or a severe turn or twist that the ligament, whether it's an ACL, MCL, PCL, Achilles, whatever it may be, the UCL in your elbow, whatever the ligament is, the violent motion of the body making a turn, making a twist, landing impact, it creates a traumatic event, a medical event, basically, what some people call it, where the ligament cannot withstand what you just did to it. And that's what causes those injuries. Whereas like the Achilles, hey, maybe you did not spend enough time training in the off season to strengthen, you didn't do enough calf raises, right? You didn't do enough, stretching of the Achilles. There's not enough strength and elasticity to the muscles around the ligament. And that creates a weakened point so that when you land funny, where you put your foot or your knee in a compromised position because you did not train the ligaments and the muscles and the joints to properly handle this quote unquote non-traditional movement, it creates a traumatic event that forces the ligaments to tear. So that is the best explanation I can give you for that, for why that happened. So thank you for the text. I think I probably caused about 20 people to roll their eyes and turn off the radio. So we'll reset after the break. We'll get back to text messages one more time. I see text coming in about Mekhi Becton and Lane Johnson. I will get to both of those coming up the other side. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Do you have a job? Do you have $199? Do you want a brand new Nissan?
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trademan can get you released, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Then drive home in your new Nissan Altima S or Sentra SV for only $199 per month lease with zero security deposit and only $29.99 due. That's a brand new 24 Nissan Altima S or Sentra SV that gets up to 39 miles per gallon for only $199 per month. And don't forget the Matt Blatt Nissan Peace of Mind 4-day love it or leave it return policy only at Matt Blatt Nissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. VIN RY229097 and RN330138. Sentra. Lease selling price $25,509. Ultimate lease selling price $27,829. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth. And if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges on your tax debt daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you will owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima Tax have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-480-6932. That's 800-480-6932. 800-480-6932.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
If you need bold banners to boost your business, but you're on a budget, think Staples. Because now at Staples, you can save up to $50 on your print purchase. From posters and flyers to signs and menus, Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward. And with Staples Print Perfect Guarantee, it's done right or it's printed again free. Plus, same-day service is available on hundreds of items if you order by noon. Get it printed right at Staples. And now get up to $50 off your print purchase. And 76, visit staples.com/print for details.
Attention landowners, got big summer plans for your property? Then here's an offer from John Deere you'll really dig. Get 0% fixed rate APR for 60, 72, or 84 months on 1, 2, 3D, and 3E series compacts tractors. If you've always wanted to get in the seat of a powerful John Deere machine, now's a great time. Offer based on dealer participation. For complete finance details, call toll-free 1-800-468-8501 or online at johndeere.com/compact tractors.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, wrapping up the Sports Bash. Let's get a couple texts before we get out of here. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. And Seattle text chimes in and says, Lane Johnson is the third oldest offensive lineman in football. Should we be concerned? Mr. Anonymous texter, I don't think we should be concerned because as long as he's still playing at a high level, I think that your age doesn't matter as much as your production. I think Lane has shown that because he doesn't have what hurt Jason Peters was the knee injuries, the Achilles injuries, stuff like that at the end of his career. It just hurt his mobility. It hurt his ability to leverage anymore. And as long as Lane doesn't sustain any injuries that keeps him from being an effective offensive lineman, I'm okay with his age. I think the injuries are more of an issue than the age. 5AC from Ventnor says, Mekhi Becton is 6'6", 370. You can't teach that. I say let him and Tyler Steen compete, even though Steen may need one more year to develop and figure things out. He may be better suited for that role while Becton could force things to start clicking. Becton is going to be a fascinating project for the Eagles because, like you said, of his size. You know, the thing with Steen is he does have one more year working with Stoutland than Becton. To me, that gives him an edge. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody.
You have the choice, whether it's going out to dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant. Those choices help put money back into your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey puts a spotlight on local restaurants.
Bright Spot Cafe, a farm-to-table family restaurant located in the heart of Sea Isle. Online at brightspotseaisle.com. And Morris River Diner on Route 47 in Port Elizabeth, serving up generous portions of breakfast, takeout, lunch, and dinner favorites.
Thank you for supporting these great local restaurants from Town Square Media South Jersey.